all the blue ones should be all the way down at all times.
Where's that coming from?
Do you hear it? I don't hear anything. I could turn this down.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you a heads up and wrapping up the news of last week. Sorry about the small little technical difficulties we've been having right now, but we're up and running. And what we do here
right now, and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
How did that happen?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you a heads up and
you got
wrapping up the news of last week. Sorry about the small little technical difficulties we've been having right now, but we're up and running. And what we do here
right now, and go to the window.
You got to.
Now we're set.
What happened? You had to
set for green. All right. So what we do here on Smith Radio.
Interesting.
Military Veteran Talk Radio. What we do here every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, is we take the news of the week, we wrap it up, we explain it all, kind of dissect it. We tell you what really happened. We expose the fake news. We tell you who not to listen to. We tell you who to listen to, who's credible, who's not credible. We've been doing this for 4 years. If this is the first time you've been listening to our show, welcome to the show. Hi, everybody. You can listen to us on our broadcast station, which is Spreaker. Quick little short link there. smithradio.info. And Smith is spelled with Y. S-M-Y-T-H. We probably should start saying Smythe Radio, but I don't want to because it's not appropriate. Because it really is Smith.
Well, actually, your brother has just changed it. Your brother he's just like, yeah, all my friends call me Smythe.
They do. All his friends do call him Smythe. And if you want to watch us live, we have in-studio video cam, kind of like Rush Limbaugh has his Ditto cam. We have a cam as well, but we also are able to play videos and sound clip, or video bites and movie clips and pictures, eye candy.
I just asked on
Periscope.
I just asked on Periscope how the sound was. If you guys, if we sound too quiet, please let us know. We can actually adjust it. We're still trying to work out the bugs on exactly where all the volumes should be set because we're actually using two different platforms. So a little inside baseball for you. Everybody says it sounds good. Oh, somebody said a little low. I could probably tweak it.
I'd rather have low than high.
Okay. Yeah. I cranked up your audio in the beginning and it clipped a little bit there. But it's funny because on Spreaker, the other platform, we could be too loud at the same time that it's too low on Periscope. And that probably takes... You have a volume on that little box over there.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I was instructed not to touch it.
Or by who?
You!
Oh, that was last show. It's different every time.
Oh!
See, Brian has kids. And they come in here and they like to play with the knobs.
Right. Good times.
Anyway.
Folks. So we're talking this week. We're going to explain to you. We're going to dissect it and lay it all out. I've got a ton of sound bites from different people on the Puerto Rico situation. What happened last night in Puerto Rico? I've got the answers, folks. We here on Smith Radio.
Oops, sorry.
We have
Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico.
Where's that from? I've never heard this before.
All right, so that's the Puerto Rico song by Frankie Cutlass, by the way.
If you go and find us on YouTube and you see that one of our shows are missing,
that's because
it's because of stuff like that happens. YouTube is not friendly to sound clips, things like that.
So bad. But that's one of those obscure songs that nobody's ever heard of. I would think that they wouldn't. I don't know.
Man.
These guys, I don't know. But anyway, that's I learned that song. I hung out with a lot of Puerto Ricans in the military.
My best friend was Puerto Rican in the military.
Yeah, and they weren't like Puerto Rican, like, oh yeah, my great grandpa was Puerto Rican. No, they were like New Yorkers. One of them was from Miami, and I mean they wore their Puerto Rican on their sleeve.
Yeah, my friend had the first time he stepped foot in America was in basic training.
Oh wow, that's really Puerto Rican.
He came straight from the Isles of Puerto Rico.
Wow. Now my friends have all visited. Like they had family that they would visit, like extended family.
Okay.
But they pretty much, one grew up in New York and another one grew up in Miami, and a couple others in there grew up in some other, like Texas and some crazy stuff. But definitely a large Puerto Rican population in New York City and in Miami. And but I got exposed to that culture and it was interesting. And one thing I can tell you, and since that's going to be a major topic here on our show, is the Puerto Ricans that I hung out with are very proud people.
Yes.
Very proud.
Similar to those straight from Mexico or south of the border.
Well,
very similar.
Different,
but similar.
Here's what I mean by different. I would think that they would be a little ashamed at the way that their mayor of San Juan is acting. The mayor of San Juan.
Oh, absolutely.
because it is not for them to be seen as somebody who's got their hand out. At least the friends that I hung out with.
Right. No, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. My friend Garcia, don't know his first name. We never called him by that first name. Garcia. Airman Garcia, if you're out there.
Tell us what your first name is.
DM me on Facebook or Twitter or something. Anyways, he was very, very proud. He was he loved to show off and to talk about his Puerto Rican heritage and things like that. But it wasn't over the top. It was, gee whiz, wow, I've never met anybody from Puerto Rico. And so we go out to the clubs, and all the women wanted to be around us because of the way he danced.
Oh, okay.
He's phenomenal. I mean, Ricky Martin would take lessons from him. Literally. I mean, it was good. But he loved the opportunity to serve in the military, in the Air Force, and that gave him, I don't know if it gave him citizenship. I don't know what it gave, but he was able to, by serving in the military, he was then able to, be more a part of America. There's something special.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how long it's been a territory. Sorry about not doing my homework on that. But it's not just Puerto Ricans either. I mean, we had a guy that was straight up didn't know a single word of English in boot camp.
No.
Oh yeah, he was clueless. Like
those recruiters are relentless,
right? But he was Mexican though. So I guess I don't know. This was the 90s. I guess they were a lot more lenient on who they would. I can't imagine that he was a legal citizen. He didn't know a single word of English at all. Like he would be getting yelled at, and he would be saying, it's like a broken Spanglish. Like he was using the very few words that he knew.
Okay, porque tú es Che Guevara?
No, he was. Yeah, I don't even remember what his name was, but he was in boot camp, and it was like, oh wow.
The Spanish-American War, 1898. Puerto Rico became our possession.
Oh, okay, all right, there you go. And it's interesting. They've had several votes over the years on becoming a state, and they vote no, and that kind of goes along with my assessment of the Puerto Rican culture. They want to be independent. They want to be able to say that, hey, we pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. And so this whole thing with the San Juan mayor, I feel, is just a big setup. I think this woman is a Democrat operative, or is currently paid to act the way she is. There are lots of reports on the ground, people in Puerto Rico who are reporting the opposite of what this woman is trying to say is going on there. and opposite of what she claims is negligence on the part of President Trump.
This seems like it's a scandal, ripe scandal for Democrats to finally get the goods on Trump, to finally stick one. I mean, they are playing pin the scandal on the Trump. Like they have a picture of Trump and everybody's walking around with pins trying to stick him with a scandal.
Well, there's a lot of people listening right now who are jonesing. They're having withdrawals right now because they've been watching the NFL for their entire life.
Yeah, so now you're listening to Smith Radio. Get fired up, man.
Well, yeah, but what I'm going to say is I'm going to give you a little fix.
Okay, yeah.
Football analogy.
Oh, yeah, great.
What the Democrats are doing with this Trump's Katrina,
yes,
is like when the defensive football team figures out exactly what play you're going to do.
Right.
You're going to get sacked like no other. You're going to lose yards when the defense knows exactly what you're going to do, and you're all in on it, right? The offense is not going to change their tactics. They're we're on it. We're doing it.
They know you're going to pass. They'll sack the quarterback before he throws it. If they know you're going to run, they'll actually get the run as the running back catches the ball. They're there on top of him already because they already knew it.
I'll take it one step further. They imagine knowing who they're going to pass to and exactly where the ball's going to go.
Oh my!
You're going to get intercepted.
Guaranteed.
That's what's happening right now with the Democrats going after this Trump's Katrina. This is, by the way, Trump's Katrina is trending on Twitter. The hashtag. So
this is AM Joy, who I am now officially blocked
on
Twitter from AM Joy Reid.
Yeah,
but it's an honor. It's an honor. Her and
absolutely.
Fake Tapper, Jake Tapper.
I like that.
Fake Tapper. Been blocked by him too. But she came out with a meme or whatever, the picture with words on it, and it said Trump's Katrina. And she put it up. And
you
it was
know
a picture
that this was brainstormed. This was brainstormed in a think tank, and they're like, okay, all right, we need all hands on deck. What are the things that we're going to do? We need a checklist. And get Trump's Katrina hashtag trending was definitely on the checklist.
Wow.
It's like the most telegraphed football play you've ever seen, and you're just like, I mean, it looks like they're going to pass to Joe Blow over here. I guess I'll be there to intercept the ball. And sure enough, the ball goes right to your hands, and you're like, didn't they know that we figured out what they were about to do?
Right.
And so I feel like this is going to, like Brian said, this is going to blow up in their face because they're just like, I heard that they know that we're trying this. and they're like, just go ahead. It works. It works. It doesn't matter that they don't know. The sheep out there aren't going to figure it out.
Jam it down their throats before they know it.
Yeah. By the way, you got intercepted.
Yes, you sure did. So do you want to go with let me give you the spin, folks. We're going to get into really what's going on. I know if some of y'all are out there and you're real high level on being plugged into all the things that are going on in the news, and you heard the heart-wrenching phone call that a Puerto Rican female police officer made to a New York City radio station in Spanish. I saw it.
You
6 minutes long. You have to read it because it's subtitled, but you have to read it. I'm going to get to what's really going on.
You're not going to play the actual Spanish audio.
I doubt that we have that many Spanish-speaking audience members, but...
Might lose a couple people like, I thought this was an English show. I got to go somewhere else.
Right. So we're going to start we're going to start out, and then we'll zoom in on what's really going on. But here's what the left is wanting you to believe what's going on. They're obsessing over this. This is Hurricane Katrina. We've got to hammer home Trump. And if you've seen any of the news, it is all bad about Trump. I don't know anybody that's saying good things about the support, the relief effort, except inside players. I mean, the head of FEMA was on CNN. They try to catch him, trick him up, and trying to slam. He literally threw it back in their face, said, I'm not going to get into the politics of this. This is what we're doing, blah, blah, mainstream media. CNN is all in on Katrina. So who else would not be all in? Saturday Night Live's new season started.
Oh, man. I saw the clip of, oh boy.
Dude, not cool.
Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that one. Yet it was
the open. The open.
Yeah, the open for SNL was just, it was so creepy. It was
cringy.
Yes, cringy.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it was, I mean, they have the crowd laugh button.
Oh, I was going to say, there were a couple laugh lines that sounded so fake. It sounded like somebody made a laugh track and they wanted it to sound perfect.
Right.
And short. That way you could do it and then get on with the comedy.
Right.
Like make a short one. Make it kind of a bust out laughter and then quiet down quickly so we can get back to the comedy. I felt like they were using the same button. Some of the laugh lines sounded identical, and I'm just like, this is so fake.
Yeah, it felt that way the whole time. And they got really creepy with Jeff Sessions.
Oh, I saw that. Oh,
as if
the
it was
woman.
a man shot. It was a woman dressed to look like a Jeff Sessions that is... I mean, it had pedophilia written all over it.
They were trying to make him out, and this is the typical propaganda that you're inundated with your entire childhood and your entire adulthood, as long as you're exposed to any kind of entertainment that the left has their hands on, which is all of it.
Right.
And that is that people with a Southern accent are choir boys who are very socially awkward because of the sexual abuse that they endured by their priests. And that's exactly what they portrayed him as on Saturday Night Live.
Right. So I just didn't feel like playing it. It was just so...
It's too long to be playing on this show. It's annoying.
Beneath you folks. You don't need to hear that garbage.
Right.
I don't even know anybody that's going
to
watch it. It's going to fall apart. However, I do have to play this.
Okay.
This one clip I have to play.
Oh, this is one I did not see. As soon as it started playing, I walked out. Oh, so I missed this. I'm going to see this for the first time.
Okay, so if you're following me on Periscope at Brian P. Smith, you'll actually see the video. If you're on Spreaker, smithradio.info, you'll just hear it. But anyhow, let's go with the soundbite.
You didn't have this.
After the mayor of San Juan criticized the government's Puerto Rican relief efforts, President Trump attacked her on Twitter, saying the mayor of San Juan, who was very complimentary only a few days ago, has now been told by the Democrats that you must be nasty to Trump. Oh, really, Donald? You bitch. Was she nasty to you? How nasty? Are you shaking? You want to go smoke a Virginia Slim until your hand stops moving? This isn't that complicated, man. It's hurricane relief. These people need help. You just did this for white people twice. Do the same thing. Go tell Melania to put on her flood heels, get some bottled water, some food, pack up some extra Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl T-shirts, and write them a check with our money, you cheap cracker.
Oh, we're allowed to call white people cracker. I see how it is. Look.
You didn't know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's open season.
You know, everything that he was saying up until the cracker part, I was just like, I get it. You're going to sit here and tell people that there's no black people in Houston. No black people in Houston.
No.
And or no black people anywhere else that any other hurricanes hit. But
Houston's all white. South Texas is all white.
Well, according to him, right? Yeah. So Trump helped the white people. By the way,
how racist is that?
The mayor of San Juan is white.
Yeah.
And don't give me this. She's a person of color. A.M. Joy. She's white. You can't sit there and say that, oh, well, she's Puerto Rican, so she ain't white. Come on. Charlize Theron is African, but she's white.
And here's the thing. We are saying that she's Puerto Rican, but we are also saying that she's very, very light fair skin.
She's white. Look, let me tell you something. Spain is in Europe.
Right.
Spain is in Europe. Do I need to repeat that?
Spain conquered Puerto Rico.
Now, there were slaves that were brought to Puerto Rico a long time ago, and there were indigenous people at Puerto Rico. So there's obviously a very, very diverse population in Puerto Rico. So there are black Puerto Ricans. Felix Trinidad, who was a very famous boxer from Puerto Rico, was black. I mean, he may have had some other, and I don't. The whole thing is skin color doesn't matter.
It does if you're a Democrat.
But don't sit there and tell me about people of color and then show me a picture of the mayor of San Juan. If she's of Spanish descent, she's of European descent. When did Spain stop being a European country?
It still is, I think, isn't it?
Right. So she's obviously of almost completely Spanish descent, which makes her white. Don't give me this people of color crap. You're just sowing these seeds of racism and racial strife and racial division, and it's sickening. I'm sick and tired of it. Why can't we have a white and a black and a mixed Puerto Rican? Why did it have to be, it's Puerto Ricans, they're all people of color? What is that? This is a war against white people is what it is. And if we can figure out how to take a white person, I can't believe they have not tried to say that Charlize Theron is not white.
They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, she's African. And by the way, there's a lot of African, South African. There's a lot of white people in South Africa because of the influence and the the colonialism from Europe in South Africa. So that's why there's white people there. But they're still born in South Africa. They're still South African. They're African of the African continent, just because their lineage goes back to Europe. And if we're going to make the argument that Charlize Theron's white because her ancestors are from Europe, then why can't we say that the Puerto Rican mayor is? Clearly, her ancestry is Spanish.
Hey, before I forget this, when I was young, I was told, somebody said to me that Charlize
Theron, yeah,
was from Africa. And I said, shut up, man.
You were like,
I got trolled, man. It's because
she is from Africa.
It's because the way I was raised up in the school system, man. Nobody talked about that stuff.
If there's any proof that we need to get beyond the stupid racial politics, racial division, try make sure that the races are constantly at each other's throat. No, you need look no further than the racial makeup of Puerto Rico. Right. They rally. They're nationalist. They rally around the Puerto Rican flag like I've never seen any other person from any other country. They're very, very proud of their Puerto Rican heritage, of their Puerto Rican country. They're proud of their independence, even though they're considered a U.S. territory. They continue to vote down becoming a state because they want their independence. They're nationalist. And to sit there and say that, the reason Trump is neglecting Puerto Rico, which, by the way, is a complete and utter, this is the opposite, this is 100% opposite of truth and fact, that he is neglecting Puerto Rico. There's boots on the ground that are saying otherwise.
We've got the numbers we've got information on Smith Radio today that will blow your mind. You'll have a renewed sense of American pride, a renewed sense that we are doing what we say we're doing, that we do what we always do. We always rally around people. Even when an earthquake, a tsunami hits on the other side of the world in China or Japan, whatever it is, America's hearts pour out in the form of dollar bills, y'all. That's a fact. So, the little tidbit on that mayor before I forget. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Obama had pardoned commuted a lot of sentences for criminals just before he left office, just like Bill Clinton. People who are in prison for murder, mass murder, terrorism. Obama even took it a step further and released generals, if you will. That's their position in the ISIS military, releasing them back into war from Guantanamo Bay. So it will come to no surprise to anyone. And I had it in a stack of stuff, but I can't find the names or the details. But you can find it. It's out there. Barack Obama commuted the sentence and released a guy that was doing 55 years in prison, served a little over 30 years. Why was he in prison for so long? He was a Puerto Rican terrorist who had bomb-making materials in his house, killed 4 or 5 people in a bomb attack, parts of different groups and different sects. And so he'd been in for a long time, like over 30 years. So Obama comes to power, and when he leaves, he gives that guy freedom. The guy runs free. You don't have to finish your sentence up, Mr. Terrorist. You're good to go. It's Puerto Rican. This mayor, flashback Friday, 2 days ago, this mayor championed and rallied that Obama released this terrorist.
That's not good.
Why do I even bring this up? Because they're all Democrats. They're all cut from the same cloth of the devil.
Right. I agree 100%.
I mean, man.
You know, it's funny. You know, I own my own business, and I deal with a lot of customers. And over the years, I've been doing this for a long time, over, a decade and a half. And I've noticed, early on, I didn't know any better. But I would get into business dealings with customers, and some of them just went awry, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't make these people happy, and I felt like they were nitpicking on things that weren't fair, or they didn't understand something and I started saying to myself, well, gosh, am I not being clear? Should I work on my communication with some of these people? But these were outliers. Most of them were extremely happy with me. At the same time, I was having these problems with one or two of these few customers. I was getting praise after praise from all these other customers. And over the years, I've learned that there was something in common with all the people that I was having trouble with, and probably something in common with all the ones that loved me and were praising me. And that was that the ones I would always end up having trouble with, they ended up being bleeding heart, Democrat, communist, progressive types. And it was...
You don't have to convince me of it. I saw it firsthand.
Yeah, Brian probably saw too. But at the time, you probably didn't know. Why can't I make this person happy? Well, it's because they look at you as a crook because you're in business, because you're asking them for money for work. And they think that you're asking for too much and all this kind of stuff. Well, why do I bring that up, though?
They got a misconception of capitalism is what they've got.
Well, here's my point. My point is we have this one woman in Puerto Rico. She happens to be the mayor, but there's other mayors in Puerto Rico. And she's just like this outlier who's like, there's nothing Trump could do to make her happy.
No.
Nothing.
No.
And there's all these other Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico on the ground having to deal with this. They're like, no, actually FEMA and Trump and the administration and America, I mean, we couldn't be happier. This is great. I mean, it's a disaster and we're going through tough times, but all things considered, the response is pretty quick. It's pretty thorough. We understand that there's time constraints on getting places from A to B and just getting the bodies in place and the equipment in place, and some of the stuff takes time. And those people are very generous. They're understanding. And then you got these people that there is nothing you can do to make them happy. Why? Because they're progressive Democrats and they have an agenda. And it may be subtle, or it may be something where it's concerted, where you got this large conspiracy of people that are like, hey, you need to give Trump hell because you're a Democrat, you're on our side, and this is the script. We need you to do the script.
Right.
We need you to read the script. We need you to say these talking points in front of the camera, in front of disaster, and whatever. She obviously screwed that up. There was a meme out there. Did you see this meme? she's talking and saying, everybody's dying in FEMA. We're starving. We have no supplies and nothing. And she's standing in front of pallets.
How is that not a joke?
Pallets of supplies. And underneath is a picture of Trump saying something to the effect of, should we let her keep putting her foot in her mouth, or should we tell her what's behind her?
There were multiple ones. One said it had Trump and Pence laughing together, and they said, "Oh, did we forget to send her a box cutter?"
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh my God.
Just turn around. It's all there, you freak. Anyways.
Yeah, I wanted to point this out too. It's something that I should probably research because it just popped in my head right now, and it'd be nice to give you guys some background on this because I'm just taking my teacher's word for it. When I was in elementary school, I believe it was Miss Kennedy. You had her.
God bless Miss Kennedy. She had the
Sixth grade.
arthritis. She had the arthritis, something fierce.
Well, she was like the oldest teacher in the whole school almost.
She had to have been 100.
Well, she retired and then didn't last too much longer. God rest her soul.
Because she taught all the way up until she died. She was old.
She did retire, but she told us this story. And back then, I mean, she wasn't saying this because it wasn't a phenomenon at the time. This was the 80s. She said, back in the 1800s, she named the city. I want to say it was like San Francisco. It may have been Chicago. But the point is, it was a major metropolitan city, even for its time. And so we're talking like late 1800s. Big giant city, and there was a fire, and this fire burnt the entire city to the ground. There was nothing left. So it's gotta be similar to San Juan.
Sure.
And the president of the United States, this is the story that was told to me. The president of the United States went to the mayor of this city and the governor of the state in that city that the city's in, and said, let us know if you need anything. I'll snap my fingers and we will have all kinds of help. And they said, oh, no. Thank you. Thank you so much for offering. But, oh, no. We have got this. And there was like this sense of pride that they didn't have to ask the federal government to help them out. And they went, and now, presumably, if they did run into a total snag where like all hell broke loose, probably would have said, oh gosh, I hate to do this. I'm going to sag my head in shame, but we might need a little bit of help, just a little bit. And now it's like, it's absolutely expected. They declare cities disaster areas before the disaster happens.
Oh no, they did. Yeah, absolutely. When they were, who was it? I keep wanting to say the mayor, was it Georgia?
Georgia.
The governor.
For what? For the
Florida governor, Texas. Either one of them, before the hurricane actually hit, he declared.
Yeah, and I think Trump declared it a federal. I may be wrong about that. If I am, you can correct me. But it's just weird to me. Like, well, we're going to declare it early so that way it frees up all the funding that's going to...
Because this paperwork takes decades to complete. That's why it took so long to rebuild Twin Towers.
I wonder if they're going to declare America bankrupt one day. I mean, the thing is that disasters happen, and there's going to be death, and there's going to be a lot of damaged property, and we've got to understand that when a hurricane happens and it happens to hit a major city, you're not going to be able to avoid it. We go through this debate every time it happens. Why didn't you evacuate the city? Well, there's two problems with that. Number one, hindsight's 2020.
Always.
You didn't know that Houston was going to be the direct hit. They had a big cone. It could have missed Houston by 200 miles, right? I mean, at the time, nobody knew. It just happened to hit Houston.
And it's amazing that the center hit through Houston.
Right, and of course that brought in the huge storm surge, because storm surge isn't really that big. It's like this, it's in the eye.
Right.
And it goes ashore mainly where the eye is because of the low pressure, and it draws the sea up high, like 20 feet higher than normal. And then it brings it in. The second thing, though, is that if you evacuate a city like Houston, let's just say I could jump in a time machine and go to Houston and say, listen, Mr. Mayor, I'm from the future. And I know you don't believe me, but just trust me. And it's going to hit you directly, and it's going to be massively flooded. It's going to be all kinds of problems. Might want to go ahead and evacuate the entire city. There may have been, in fact, I can almost guarantee you, that there would have been more deaths in the evacuation effort than in the actual storm itself. Not only that, but it may have been tougher for the relief effort afterwards because people would have had trouble getting back into town. So the point is that, it's a hurricane. People are going to die. You just got to hope and pray that it's not you.
Well, and you can't put the blame of the death upon anyone. Not a single person. I mean, it's just like saying that the earthquake out in California, and then it killed people, and the roads were not good enough, and they fell apart, and I'm blaming the government. But no!
If a 9.0 hits L.A.,
it's an earthquake,
there's going to be lots of buildings falling.
It's an earthquake. I don't care what you do. It's an earthquake, natural disaster. Anyway, so, hey, just browsing around real quick. On Wikipedia, they said 97% wanted to vote for statehood in Puerto Rico, but the voter turnout was 23%.
Yeah, really low percentage.
Real
turnout.
Low percentage.
That's kind of weird. That seems a little strange to me. I would think that that would be a big deal if they became the 51st state, and it would be a big deal for them more so than anybody else.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
You would think that they would be motivated to show up to the polls.
Well, I mean, I was looking at the map, and I don't know much about Puerto Rico. I've never been there. I don't know. Some of the folks on Periscope right now are messaging that they'd lived in Puerto Rico, and where this mayor is in Puerto Rico, that the whole town, he's saying that the government's corrupt, and I've got a lot of proof to back that up. Apparently, there's a lot of reports saying that that all the stuff's there's a lot of reports saying that it's not getting to the people. The food is not getting to the people, and nobody knows why, and people are speculating. And I had a guy that I follow on the Twitter, and he posted
the Twitters.
Apparently, he was in Puerto Rico, and he was scoping. And he was scoping this whole area, and I didn't get the video to play that, but I do have CNN went to the head, this guy who heads up all the containers and the container in the shipyard, and CNN was doing an interview with him, and they were talking to him about what was going on and what do we have. It almost looked like they were trying to expose it as it's maybe a sham, like there really wasn't that much stuff. And they accidentally exposed that there's a lot of stuff. But they didn't have any answers to why the stuff was there. And I've got the video clip on that. If you folks are on the Periscope, you can see the video clip. If not, you'll just hear it.
Currently have approximately 3,000 containers full of emergency supplies, relief cargo. There's all kind of goods, commercial materials, construction materials as well, medicines and everything, and all kind of goods. Food, there's a lot of food in these containers. There's also reefers that are filled of food as well, frozen poultry as an example, pork and others. And so far, our terminal is completely up to its capacity, maximum capacity, and we have been able to dispatch barely 4% of our usual flow at our exit gates. The problem has been with the logistics, the part of the supply chain that moves the cargo from our terminal to the shelves or to the tables of the people of Puerto Rico. Now, for those employees who have been able to get to their workplace, and for those trucking companies, as an example, they have their equipment available and ready, then they're facing the challenge of the fact that there's no fuel. So if you have the equipment, you have the drivers, but you don't have the fuel, then you definitely cannot afford to move the cargo. If this continues on, if we're not able to start dispatching cargo, there's not going to be sufficient space to unload our next barges that are in line to come to the port.
And this is stuff that's coming from FEMA and from private companies, from the government. Where's it all coming from?
It's all around. There's emergency supplies. There's relief cargo from FEMA. There's food for DCs here in Puerto Rico, all supermarkets. I mean, you name it. That is very sad and frustrating for whatever reasons that we have plenty of inventory in our ports. There's enough to supply the needs. It's just a matter, again, how do we move them to the final destination?
And so check this out, folks. Nobody's reporting on the fact that the union bosses are on strike.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Union bosses are on strike. They're calling for a strike. Employees that drive the trucks, union employees drive the trucks, it's been reported that they're asking for $50 an hour to like gouge the system or whatever.
Oh, that would be totally illegal in America.
But even if they could get $50 an hour, they say the place is so devastated, nobody's showing up for work. How do you get to work?
You would think a sense of patriotism for your homeland, you would say, well, you know, this strike thing, maybe we'll just postpone the strike until after
You would think. So this also reports coming out saying that there are scabs. Scabs are temporary workers that take over while unions are on strike. However, if you're a scab, it's bad. Even the word sounds bad. That's why they use it, to intimidate you so as not to do it. Back when I was a kid, back in the 80s, the grocery store Kroger's went on strike, and there were all kinds of reports of they would bus workers in, or workers would show up to work while the strike was going on. People would throw rocks. They would get violent.
Yeah.
Take shots at bus windows that were delivering workers to help work while they were on strike. It's an awful thing, and it's an awful situation. Now we've also got this female cop. You've got to take her word for it. Usually people that are desperate, I mean, absolutely desperate, facing death, you can hear it in their voice. You can just tell that there's sincerity there. Whether they're wrong with their words, that could possibly be, but the sincerity and the honesty is there. And this woman that called, and they even asked for her name, she's like, I can't give you my name. I work for the police department here. And so she went on and started telling her story about what's really going on in Puerto Rico. And this falls right in line. Folks, we know these people. And if you listen to Smith Radio long enough, you'll know these people too, and you'll be able to see this as clear as day. And by the way, I just real quick heads up, folks, we've got a lot of new Patreons that came on this week, and we're very, very excited, very happy to have you be a part of our Smith Radio private chat room, where we have a private text message group where if you want to be a part of that, you go to patreon.com/SmithRadio. $1 will get you into the chat room. You can talk with Carrie and myself 24/7, as well as the other Patreons that are of Smith Radio. And it's just, it's a refreshing family group. They call it the Smith fam. And it's great because we're all like-minded. We all want the same thing. And we're able to speak to each other and exchange ideas.
Become a mastermind, right?
Absolutely, to become a mastermind. And so jump over there, take care of that, do that, and come right back. But in Puerto Rico right now, this is in line with Saul Alinsky. This is in line with the Democrats. This is in line with the socialists, the communists. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Oh, so annoying.
They attempted to not let Houston go to waste. They attempted to not let Louisiana go to waste. Don't let Florida, don't let these crises go to waste. But you know what, folks? I'll be damned if Trump wasn't on top of it. Trump was so on top of these disasters. Phenomenal. He's not a micromanager. That's why it's able to get done. Obama couldn't get nothing done because he was such a psycho micromanager.
He's never ran anything before. And that's what an executive has to do.
Right.
And so that's what the problem was. And people didn't know that the president actually does work.
Right. So this female cop that called into the radio station in New York City on a Spanish channel was speaking about the horrors that are going on in Puerto Rico right now. That the mayor, Cruz, Maria Cruz, I think her name is. Carmen Cruz. She has to be in front of a camera. If the camera's not on, she will not do what she needs to do. Cameras are on. She does glad handing and handshaking and getting in front of the people. Everything that we know Democrats love to do. Light on me, shine on me. Nobody's ever heard of this woman's name in her entire life. Nobody knows her.
So she's excited.
Yes! Dude, she's the next American Idol.
Oh, she's so happy that she finally has a camera in her face.
Yes! And they love mainstream media, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN. They love her for the hate that she has for Trump, and that they know she's on board with the the SOP, standard operating procedure. She's on board.
One of our commenters pointed out that CNN furnished that T-shirt. There was a big controversy about the T-shirt she was wearing that basically said, "We're all dying." And so somebody said, who made that T-shirt for you and how did it get to you? Because it would take like a shirt company to use energy to create that shirt, or at least have it, if it was shipped over from outside of Puerto Rico, somebody would have had to have brought it in. Why didn't they bring it in with supplies or whatnot? And so there was a big controversy over that. And where did she get it? Who made it? And so it's clearly just a big concerted effort to propagandize America and American voters into basically what they did to George Bush after Katrina is what they're trying to do. They're trying to recreate. They're trying to rehash the standard operating procedure of destroying a presidency with a disaster by questioning how well he did.
Right. So this cop goes on to say that Venezuela actually offered assistance. Cuba offered assistance. The government and government officials turned them both down and said, no, we don't want your assistance. No. These trucks are not able to get the food to the people. Some are saying that the government, that the organized whatever, are doing this on purpose to create mass havoc. And what do Democrats want more? They want so much havoc to be wreaked on the general populace because they're the ones that they come back out and say, I'm the only one that can fix this. And we're like, well, why you don't want to fix this? If they were truthful, they would say, because I was the one that caused this. So I know how to undo it. This is the insanity that is liberalism. It is a mental disorder, and this woman has got it all. She is locked up with a major mental disorder.
Somebody suggested on Twitter, I think it was yesterday, that she should be charged with a crime because she is possibly preventing supplies from getting to the people to make it look like the recovery effort is botched.
Yes. Yes, and that's what this woman said that called in the radio show. If you guys want to hear the sound or see the video that I have, it's on my Facebook page at Brian P. Smith. And you can see it. It's right there. Just go down, scroll down the timeline. It's not too far down. But she goes on to talk about people are starving in the streets. People are literally dying in Puerto Rico because there is no food. 44% of the people in Puerto Rico have no drinking water. At one point in time, I don't even know if there's even power. I think the power grid is completely still out.
No power.
The only thing that they have are generators. Where'd they get those? They were shipped in. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Is Trump able to rescue Puerto Rico? What do you think? Is that really happening right now?
Well, I think that based on some of the reports that I've heard, and I can't trust people who obviously have an agenda, who are doing the Saul Alinsky never let a crisis go to waste. I can't trust a word that comes out of their mouth. Sounds to me, based on the police officer who called into that radio station, the Puerto Rican police officer, that they're doing a very good job, or as well as you can be. Sure, are there going to be lines? Yes. Are there going to be people who are going to be extremely low, if not completely out of supplies? Sure. That's what happens when you get a direct hit on a small island with a Category 5 hurricane. I heard that it actually made landfall directly as a Category 5. You're going to have so much destruction. You're going to have people that are going to be living in shelters. You're going to have people that are going to be out of water and looking for water. You're going to have people that are hungry. You're going to have people that are missing, and one day they're going to be found somewhere dead. That's going to happen. That's what happens when you live on an island in Hurricane Alley and you get hit directly with a Category 5. We just have to understand and accept that Mother Nature happens sometimes. And we're not neglecting Puerto Rico. Trump is not neglecting Puerto Rico. Trump, I think, is doing a very good job. I think the recovery is going to be looked back upon and say, you know what? All things considered, this was pretty good. Let me ask you a question. Imagine if your house just got flooded. Do you own a house? Who here listening has flood insurance?
Nobody. You're not, unless you go to FEMA, you're not allowed to have it.
Well, let's just say a tidal wave hits you somehow, some way, some weird, crazy thing happens, and the damage is so extensive that they're calling it a total loss.
Okay.
Your insurance company will not pay for it, and suing them is not going to solve the problem.
Nope.
What are you going to do? Are you going to be up Crap Creek? I don't want to cuss on the show or anything like that. Yes, you are. Are you going to figure out, are people going to help you? Are you going to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just work harder, take out a loan, sell some stuff and make it happen? Yeah, but things happen. Life happens sometimes, you know?
Right. You have to deal with it, move on. You got to find a way to make it happen. So if you're on Periscope, at Brian P. Smith, if you jump over to Periscope, you'll see I have a picture up. It's called a logistics snapshot for Hurricane Maria. This was put out on Friday, and this is to debunk everybody's notion that what is out there, what's going on, and is it real? And according to FEMA, they have 15 sea vessels providing water, lift, search and rescue, and commodities delivery capabilities. 8 commodity flights to Puerto Rico, 2 commodity flights to the Virgin Islands, 11 regional staging areas in Puerto Rico serving 77 communities, 16 points of distribution in U.S. Virgin Islands, millions of meals, millions of liters of water delivered, additional meals and water delivered daily. Additional points of distribution will open as areas become accessible. That's from FEMA. If you don't believe it, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah, and that actually just kind of picturing that in my mind as Brian was reading it. I mean, imagine if all of a sudden, what's the population of Puerto Rico? Somebody's going to have to help me out on the comments board. But imagine you got 1 million people in a city who suddenly have no food and they have no access to go buy food. And they also don't have water and they don't have anywhere to go to buy water.
3.4 million.
Now, imagine that's 3.4 million. Imagine 3.4 million people are out of food, out of water, and they're out at the stores, and there's just no way to go buy some. It doesn't matter if they have them on pallets, in trucks, on site, even if they drove the trucks into the town. It's going to take a certain measurable amount of time to distribute all that stuff.
Well, not only that, but if you look at any of the pictures, a lot of these people live in rural areas, up in the mountains, up off to the side, up out of the way. It really does look like it's, from what I've seen, well, it is now officially a third world nation, if you will. The damage, the destruction, the destruction to the power grid, everything that they've lost, they pretty much have become a third world nation. And so we're in the situation where we've got to do something to help. And so how do you distribute? Because I said earlier, how do you distribute all these materials and all this stuff when you've got, union bosses and union guys, and there's no gas there's no gas for the trucks to even fill up to drive around, miles and miles of cars just sitting on the side of the road, can't even move them.
Right.
I mean,
and that's assuming that the roads are even freed up. There's probably debris all over the road, so there's a certain amount of work that needs to be done just to clean these places up. You got people whose houses are gone, they're obliterated. They have to find a place to live now, at least temporarily, until they get it all rebuilt. I mean, it just takes time. And here's the thing: the progressives, the communists that are working to drive this fake news narrative that Trump is to blame for the crisis created by this hurricane, they know that as time goes on, people are going to start getting more and more antsy because they don't have food. Imagine if you were out without food for one meal. You're going to be hungry. Well, all of a sudden that second meal comes along and you don't even eat for a second meal. Well, after about 3 days, I think you're going to become kind of feral. You're gonna end up getting a little crazy, just like that movie Madagascar.
People do the most insane things when they're hungry.
Yeah, and then you're gonna get really sick if you're without water. It doesn't take very long at all. People who break down in the middle of the Mojave Desert here in America end up dying if they're out without 3 days without water.
You could die in the Mojave Desert in a very short amount of time with no water.
Yeah, if you could find shade, you might last 3 days, maybe. If you can find shade, without shade, probably less. The point is you're going to get a little desperate. Things are going to, and the left is using this to their advantage, and they're trying to maximize it. They want people to start rioting in the streets. They want people to start killing each other in order to get the tiny little scraps of food. They want to display the raw animalistic nature of human beings who haven't eaten in 3 days.
Right.
And they want to be able to paint the picture that Trump is to blame for this. But the truth of the matter is that when you have this kind of devastation in an area that's pretty well populated, 3 point some odd million in a small island, and it's going to take time for this to happen, and they're going to use it to their advantage, and it's really sickening. It's really disgusting that they're going to do this in the time of need of these people on this little island. They're going to abuse the fact that these people are in need, and they're going to use it for political gain, and that is progressivism 101.
So Bernie Sanders, I don't know why he's still alive and kicking, but he is, and he's making the rounds on local.
He's actually older than Trump. He could have been our president, I guess. Theoretically, he could be President Sanders right now.
I mean, if they hadn't have put in a body double for Hillary, he certainly would have been.
Well, if they didn't totally collude against his campaign,
right?
Yeah.
So Bernie Sanders, making the rounds on CNN, hits up with the guy who's got me blocked on Twitter, fake Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper is talking with Bernie Sanders about a couple of things, and it's it's quite craziness. But this is I'm just gonna play a little bit of this. He had him on for 8 minutes, just talking about nothing. It's just so painful. But here's just the first few seconds of it, maybe about a minute of it. Jake goes back and forth with the hurricane situation in Puerto Rico with Bernie.
Senator Sanders joins us now from his home state of Vermont. Senator Sanders, I'll get to taxes in just a minute, but first I want to ask you about Puerto Rico. What did you make of President Trump tweeting that Puerto Ricans, quote, want everything to be done for them?
You know, speaking from his fancy golf club, playing golf with his billionaire friends, attacking the mayor of San Juan, who is struggling to bring electricity to the island, food to the island, water to the island, gas to the island. That is just It is unspeakable. And I don't know what world Trump is living in. People in Puerto Rico are suffering one of the worst disasters in the history of that island. We have got to do everything we can to help them. We all have got to remember the people of Puerto Rico are American citizens, entitled to the same help as the people of any other community in America.
The White House denies it, but there are a lot of critics who say that race or ethnicity might be playing a factor here.
Why?
What do you think?
Well, look, given the president's history on race, given the fact that he, a few months ago, told us that there were good people on both sides when neo-Nazis were marching in Charlottesville, yeah, I think we have a right to be suspect that he is treating the people of Puerto Rico in a different way than he has treated the people of Texas or Florida.
What? Hold on. He's treating them the same. It's the left that's pointing out that these are different. This is a different culture. Let's make it appear as though he's treating them differently. He's not.
Oh, well, come on, Kerry. There's nothing getting out there. They're dying in the streets.
He's trying to put it into context of another fake news story. He's trying to say that he was saying that there were good people on both sides, saying that Nazis were good people. No, there were Nazis there, and there were other people that were rallying for free speech who were not Nazis, who he was saying were some of whom were probably good people. And there were also good people on the side that also agreed with what Antifa was. But Antifa's not good people. Nazis are not good people. But there were more than Antifa and Nazis there. I mean, it was a pretty sizable rally. There were people who didn't know, if they had any idea how crazy it was going to get that day in Charlottesville, they wouldn't have showed up. Those were the good people he's talking about. So Bernie Sanders is using a lie, a fake news situation that was made up in order to bolster the fake news that Trump is a racist, that he would certainly take race into account when deciding to neglect Puerto Rico.
Right.
Which he didn't do in Houston because they're all white, all of them. What? This is how fake your news is, people. It's totally
like
fake.
Jake Tapper brought it up and said, there's people out there talking about, race might play an issue in this.
Well, yeah, because A.M. Joy said, well, the reason that he's doing this to San Juan is because their mayor is a person of color. And I'm like, what? The first thing I thought when I saw her was, wow, she's lily white. I mean, it's interesting because, every Puerto Rican I've ever seen, they got a nice skin tone and everything like that. Did I tell you the story?
They've got sun-kissed skin.
Well, and yeah, they're obviously in a southern latitude that's we're going to get a lot more sun just living there. But did I ever tell you the story of my good old friend Rodriguez? He's a New Yorican. He looks like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes.
Does anybody think that Flea looks Puerto Rican?
No.
He looks just like Flea.
Wow.
And when he went to Mexico, because we were stationed in Yuma, Arizona, and they would go to Mexico, that's right on the border of Mexico. And so we would go to, I never went. I'm like, forget you guys, I'm not going. I'm not going to Mexico because it scared me. People go to prison and for no reason, and you have to pay hundreds of dollars to the corrupt cops to get out of there. But anyway, so there was this really funny story that they all told the next Monday at work, where they were in this Mexican club, young 20-some-odd young.
Is this the same club we was talking about the other day?
No.
I was going to say this is going to be family appropriate.
No, they were in a club,
Okay.
the same kind of club that you would go to in America, but it was in Mexico.
Right.
And apparently there was some tensions. Some tensions in there. You know how it is with boys and men, young men
drinking.
There's women around and
testosterone flowing.
Right, they're trying to go after the same women, or there's just you got a group of friends here, you got a group of friends here. Sometimes there can be tensions.
Mix a little Marine in it.
Oh, what? Come on, man. Leave my devil dogs alone.
We had to walk away from them at the clubs, man.
Yeah, you did.
We couldn't hang.
You did have to walk away. I had to be the middleman sometimes because
they would fight each other. Like they wouldn't threaten to beat us up. They would start to go at each other's throat. I'm like,
right. Sometimes that
and
would
y'all
happen.
making a scene. Come on.
Well, they would do this sometimes in Mexico. Well, they were near a group of Mexicans who were talking in Spanish, and they were doing it within earshot of him.
And obviously he knows Spanish.
Thinking that he was some blanquito.
Right.
Some little white boy, Marine boy. Well, he's very fluent in Spanish, and he sat there, and he didn't say nothing, and he played dumb. He acted like he didn't hear it, and they were talking crap about him and his friends. And he turned and he said in Spanish, "You didn't know I could speak Spanish, did you?" And he said their jaws hit the ground.
Hit the ground, yeah.
And Mexican culture being what Mexican culture was, he took his shirt off and said, "Oh, man.
We got to do this.
I guess we got to go through the motions of getting into a fist fight."
Right.
So they all got out of the way. They always do the one-on-one. It's not they gang up, and they said they told each other's friends, "Don't jump in. We're gonna fight.
One-on-one, man.
One-on-one." And they had a big old fist fight, but it was funny because this guy didn't look like he would know Spanish.
Right.
So there was a little bit of prejudice on their part there. But yeah, I mean beginning of the show we opened, diverse crowd out there. Stop bringing race into this. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, they're people of color," or "Oh, they're brown people." You can't describe the race of Puerto Rican people being brown or black or white. They're all there. Right. They basically have the same makeup as America.
And I always thought my wife had the look kind of like the Louis Julius Dreyfus, the New York black hair, light skin look, green eyes,
right?
Just that not a Mexican look. Her family's from Mexico, but it originated from there. They came from Spain and South Africa, moved to Mexico for whatever reasons. Actually, it was because of race, because the grandmother was white from Spain, and the guy she wanted to marry was black from South Africa, and the son of a slave. And her parents said, "You cannot marry that slave boy." And she said, "Oh, yeah? Watch." And they ran away to Mexico.
There you go.
So my wife's parents...
Wasn't Mitt Romney Mexican?
I think he had something there.
Because his ancestry, the Mormons were ostracized.
Right.
And they had to flee to Mexico. I think Mitt Romney's
there might be some there.
Mitt Romney's dad might be Mexican.
It might be there. Definitely. So, I mean, you cannot say, and even Mexicans, they'll start, depending on who they are, they'll start talking garbage about me or even my wife, not knowing. And when they find out.
Well, yeah, because your wife is, I think the best way to describe your wife's look is racially ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because she kind of looks like there might be some Latina there, but then she has this porcelain white skin. So it's kind of like, and then she has the really black hair, and it's kind of like, I don't know.
Right.
And then when she starts talking, there's that slight accent, and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe Latina, I guess.
Maybe. And then when Latinos start talking, then she definitely, like if she gets on the phone with her family from back in L.A.
They're actually speaking Spanish.
Well, her friends, it's Spanglish, half Spanish, half English.
Yeah.
All jacked up. And then when she's on the phone with her mom, then it's definitely a mile a minute, like John Leguizamo would do.
It's funny that you're talking about the way they talk. My Puerto Rican friends, when I was in the military, always made fun of Spanish-speaking people who were not Puerto Rican. Like, yeah, because they would either speak in a certain dialect or a certain accent or a certain pace, and they made fun of Cubans a lot of time. because of the way that
That's
they would speak and stuff like that. It was funny.
When you can tell the different, and folks, we're talking about Puerto Rico here, and we're not talking about race. We're talking about Puerto Rico, and we're letting y'all know there are all different cultures in all different places, and to say that one country is representative of a skin color.
Talk to Charlize Theron.
Is insanity. And check this out. We are winning the battle, folks. We're winning the battle against fake news. We are winning the battle against all this anti-freedom, pro-democrat, pro-socialism, pro-communism. We are winning this battle because we have the freedom still in America. We've got the internet. We've got access to each other in real time. We've got Donald Trump tweeting out in real time, blasting MSNBC, blasting the mainstream media, and calling them out for who they are. One of our listeners hooked us up with this. It's a Facebook post that a woman put up.
Oh yeah,
from Puerto Rico, and they got
is that the cop?
Yeah, no, this is this is from our private Smith Radio message group.
Yep.
And if you want to be a part of that, jump over to patreon.com/Smith Radio. If you want to do something to help Trump make America great again, help us help Trump. That's what we do. We do this because we feel like we gotta do something.
Real quick, there was somebody that pointed out that we should always mention that Smith is spelled with a Y, so it's SMYTHRADIO, because sometimes when we just say it over the audio, they get confused and don't realize it's with a Y, so make sure that that's noted.
Yep. So this from Facebook, folks, and this is the greatness of technology, the beauty of capitalism that has created the internet for us, the beauty of capitalism that has allowed all of us to be able to connect to each other. It's almost as if capitalism literally in the sphere literally is battling against communism at every turn. Like capitalism is literally fighting for us, for our freedoms. And this is where we're getting this information from Facebook. And this was a letter that Gabrielle Delgado.
Yeah, Delgado.
Delgado.
She was on, I feel like I interviewed her on Your Voice before.
You may have.
Yeah, I think I may have.
So Bob Long posted this, and so I printed off. Here's what she wrote. She wrote, from a friend in Puerto Rico. I got online for the first time in 5 days, and one of the very first things I saw was an out-and-out lie about the government's response to the crisis. I'm in the middle of it. I don't care if you hate or love Trump. Using the crisis in Puerto Rico to spread political lies is disgusting. I am literally across the street from the airport, and the hotel I am in is where many of the first responders are staying. So here is what is going on from someone who is actually here seeing it. The government is here and has been here every single day, plane after plane full of FEMA, FBI, Homeland Security, Army, Air Force, Marines, extra police officers from all over the country showing up. Cargo plane after cargo plane, ship after ship, full of supplies showing up. There's a hospital ship off the coast where I can see from the beach. Now, just to pause, that cargo ship she's speaking about?
I think I saw a clip of it. It's kind of gaudy looking. It's totally painted white with a giant
red cross.
The cross is like 100 foot by 100 foot and probably 30 foot thick. Like, who painted that thing?
It is referred to as USNS Comfort, United States Navy Service Comfort, something or other. USNS Comfort. It is a 900-foot floating hospital. It weighs 69,000 tons. It's 70 foot long, or 70,000 feet long, 894 feet wide, and it has all the latest, 1,000 beds for patients. The thing that was shocking to me was how fast It takes 5 days to get this thing up and running to go somewhere. It takes 5 days. 63 civilians, 956 naval hospital staff, 258 naval support staff. It also has a handful of helicopters. One's called a Sea Stallion, a Sea Dragon. They've got a Black Hawk and a couple other helicopters on it. They have 4 distilling plants on the ship that can make up to 300,000 gallons of drinkable water from seawater per day.
That's pretty awesome.
The U.S. Oh, and okay, to get on.
You know what this is? I think that like I said, there's going to be a certain amount of time that it takes to get this stuff implemented, get it into the hands of the people that need it. They are scouring across Puerto Rico, and they will continue to do so, to find the person far back in line that haven't gotten any supplies yet.
Right. So
because there will be people that have not gotten supplies yet.
Right.
And they will find them, and they will put a camera in their face, and they will say, why is Trump neglecting? What, is he on the golf course? He wasted a whole day playing golf while people in Puerto Rico are suffering. Guys, I think that, there's only so much you can do in a certain amount of time, and they're doing it.
Right. So this is the letter that was written from a woman who lives in Puerto Rico, and she made mention that she can see the USNS Comfort off the coast, which takes 5 days to prepare, and as I said, is a huge 900-foot floating hospital. It was originally an oil tanker converted into a giant hospital. It's a city, literally a city. Hasn't been deployed in 20, 30, hasn't been deployed in decades.
Really?
Trump said, send it.
Wow.
Get it there. Whatever it takes, get it there. There's also some laws on the books about shipping and transports with ships and shipping waters. Trump waived all the laws to get it, to make it happen.
Why wasn't this thing used at Katrina? You could get that ship to New Orleans. I'm just saying. It's been around that long. Hasn't been used in 20 years.
It was first commissioned in 1987. It was the Navy had it as a naval ship in the 70s, and then they decommissioned it, and then they brought it back on board and transformed it into this city on the ocean.
A giant white. It's totally painted white with 2 giant red crosses on it.
You could never say, I accidentally mistaken it. That's why we launched a torpedo at it.
You would be able to see that this thing had something to do with Red Cross from at least 20, 30 miles away. At least.
Right.
That's how big this was. It's a big ship, and it's totally white. Totally. There's not one square inch except for the giant red cross on it. It's actually kind of interesting.
You would probably have to wear the old-fashioned sunglasses that are like goggles when walking on the deck, because you would be blinded from the whiteness of it.
I think that if you were flying in a supersonic jet going Mach 2.5 approaching this thing, you'd be like, oh yeah, don't shoot at that.
Right?
Yeah, easily.
So this is a letter on Facebook from a woman who lives right there in Puerto Rico, and this is the rest of her letter. It says, there's a hospital ship off the coast that I can see from the beach. The response was quick, and it keeps coming. They are out every day from sun up till sundown. This isn't a political issue. It is a humanitarian one. The lies being spread about the response aren't helping the people here. It's just fueling hate based on lies. If you want to help Puerto Rico, donate money or supplies and pray. If you want to play politics, find something else to argue about. Not like there aren't 100 topics to choose from. Edited to add this. Roads have been completely destroyed in many areas, especially the remote ones. Military and FEMA are going out to these places on foot. Folks, I've got a video Trump posted up. It is... You want to be heartwarmed into knowing that Trump is using tax dollars so damn efficiently. You will be so proud. But yeah, the military and FEMA are going out to these remote places with 100-pound plus backpacks on their backs and delivering goods. It is requiring them to cut their way through flooded areas to get there. It will take time to reach everyone when conditions are as bad as they are. Folks, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is what America does. We go out and we make things happen. We help people that are in need. We are the most giving country there ever was. And how do I know I'm right? Because the left hates us so much. You know you're winning when the level of hate and anger reaches heights you've never seen before. You know you're winning.
It seems like it. What do they say, that you're over the target when you're getting a lot of flack?
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely.
I guess. I mean, they really, truly. Are we going to segue to the NFL? Because, they hate America.
Well, I got to play the Trump thing real quick.
Okay.
But
they hate America, and that's why they're defending the kneeling of the national anthem. And they would say, it's not about hating America. Well, actually it is, but we'll get to that. We will get to that.
Definitely. So Trump, if you follow Trump on Twitter, you should. If you're not, Trump posted this video up on his timeline. Just listen to the audio. The video can be a little bit grainy. Apologize for that from Twitter. But this is exactly what's going on. Trump tweeted out, because of fake news, my people are not getting the credit they deserve. See, that's something you've never seen in a president, at least in my lifetime. Ronald Reagan used to say, anything can be done if you don't care who gets the credit.
Right.
Donald Trump is so adamant about giving his guys credit for doing a good job. You talk about a great leader. That's what leaders do. They make those that work for them or that are underneath them in a sense of, people that are with them. They make them, they acknowledge their good deeds, the efficiency in which they do it, the attaboy, the award. Some of it sometimes seems a little, okay, yeah, I could do that. But my wife used to do this when she managed a Bally Total Fitness gym. Her girls that ran the front desk or some of the back office, once a month she would buy out of her own money a gift card for $20, $25 at Starbucks or whatever, and she would give it to one of her girls. They absolutely loved her because of her sincerity and for rewarding the people that work for her. That's what Trump does. That's why this stuff is so good. So he says they're not getting the credit they deserve for doing a great job. As seen here, they are all doing a great job.
What a great thing for him to say, because it turns this attempt to make the Puerto Rico hurricane into his Katrina, that it just turns it right on its face. It's like, why are you know what you guys are doing? You think you're attacking me, but you're attacking the people who are actually doing the work on the ground, because they are doing the work and they're doing a great job. And you're trying to take that away from them because you're trying to saddle me with some sort of a crisis.
Right. He's calling insanity out on its face and saying, hey, don't be talking bad about the people that are doing all this hard work.
Remember that guy I was telling you about that I worked for at GE that was great, one of my greatest bosses I ever had?
Yeah.
They had millions of dollars in manufacturing losses, and they didn't know why. And several people tried to figure it out, and they couldn't, so they sent me on it. And I bird dogged the heck out of it until I figured out what happened, and that we weren't responsible for those losses.
Okay, well, that's great.
So I presented my findings to him, and he said, "Oh my gosh!" Like I found the Rosetta Stone or something.
Right.
He was like, "This is great." He was like, I'm going to this meeting with all of my bosses and my boss's bosses, bigwig people, and this is the topic that's gonna be brought up.
He could have taken that all for himself.
You know what he did? He said, I want you are going to present this to them. And I'm like,
he could have taken all that credit for himself.
99% of people those bosses out there, those terrible people, they would have said, "Thank you very much, Carrie," and they would have went, and they would have said, "This is what I found." Oh no, he made me go to this meeting. It looked like the long table. And,
like the smoke-filled room.
Well, not the smoke-filled, but like when you watch 13 Days, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they have meeting after meeting after meeting to try to figure out what to do about the Cuban Missile Crisis. They got the long.
Why do they have such a long table?
Well, because everybody needs to be there.
Yeah,
so,
you can sit everybody.
Yeah, so this was a long table, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, they're going to make me present this to the big boss.
I need a 40-foot table customized. With
right, it's got to be hand carved. Yeah,
out of one tree.
But the reason I bring that up is because that is so true. To do that is a very rare thing, and it's an indication of great leadership. 100%.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, thank you for listening to Smith Radio. Crush the hearts. If you haven't shared the show, please share the show with your friends and your family on Facebook. Hit the 3 little dots if you're on Periscope, and hit the share to Twitter, share to Facebook, or wherever you're at. And this is about a couple minutes long, but this is what Donald Trump had posted up on Twitter, and this will explain to you exactly what is going on, boots on the ground in Puerto Rico, and watch closely how they're delivering, how they have to deliver these packages. The military is so into this. Air Force, Air National Guard, the Marine Corps on the ground. You've got the Army involved. You've got the all the reserve outfits that are involved. People had posted up on Periscope. They're coming out of Texas. They're coming out of New York. They're coming out of South Carolina. They are literally coming out of everywhere around America to go to Puerto Rico for the disastrous hurricane relief. And this is where you're only going to get the real news, folks. This is the real news. And I'm getting this straight from Trump, and he has never lied to us yet. So here you go. And that was supposed to play, but that's not playing right now, so we'll have to work on that.
I don't know why it's not playing.
I don't know why that didn't.
I mean, you press play.
Yep.
That's weird.
But anyway, so we're talking about leadership.
Sorry about that.
Right, we're talking about leadership, and we're talking about the things that Trump has done, the things that Trump has been able to do, because he has that uncanny ability to get people to, what leaders do. They get people together.
Motivate them.
They motivate them. They get them to work. And, okay, you keep talking while I'm trying to find this, man.
Oh, my bad. No, I mean, I already told you the story about the leadership of, and I just can't. You know what? I have optimism. I've been tweeting this stuff out for the past couple of days, and the people are not buying it. They're not going to fall for the same crap. And the reason they fell for it, Katrina did not happen overnight. In fact, as soon as it made landfall, the first thing out of everybody's mouths were, "Oh man, you guys made it sound like there was going to be nothing but leveled streets and 50 foot of water, that New Orleans was going to break off and float away into the Gulf of Mexico. You're all a bunch of liars." Well, then 1 or 2 days go by and we start to realize, the levees broke. There's water rushing in. The water's rising within the basin, and so it was like a slow.
And
thing.
then you get a black rapper come out and say George Bush hates black people.
Yeah, that was Kanye West.
Kanye West,
and he said he doesn't care about black people. And that is true. He did
say
say
doesn't
that.
care. Oh, I thought he said he hates.
No, he said he doesn't care. It was with Mike Myers standing right next to him.
Right. How uncomfortable, huh?
Oh, so we played that. If you guys have been listening to us long enough, we actually played the clip of Kanye West saying that.
Yeah, sure did. So I've got the Donald Trump video queued up, folks. Let's go ahead and let's double check, make sure this works.
Give it a shot.
And
are you getting all the aid you need, or getting it fast enough from the states?
First of all, we're very grateful for the administration. They have responded quickly. The president has been very attentive to the situation, personally calling me several times. FEMA and the FEMA director have been here in Puerto Rico twice As a matter of fact, they were here with us today, making sure that all the resources in FEMA were working in conjunction with the central government. We've been working together. We've been getting results. Reality is that the administration and the president, every time that we've spoken, I've had an ask, they've delivered. President and the administration has done everything that they can, that we've asked them to do.
Sailors with the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit are providing humanitarian support in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. Marines are clearing roadways, setting up communication towers, and converting salt water into fresh drinkable water.
He lives in the mountains.
And that's another big thing that they were having problems with. People who need medication, whether it be older folks or, if you've got diabetes or some kind of ailment, to where you need medicine on a regular basis. That was the biggest problem of being able to get in there and get that done. There's only one the military's the only way to get that done, from what I'm seeing.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to get in there, just to have access to these locations, right? You have to airlift it with a helicopter. And, it's an island in the middle of the sea, so just, you got to get there with the ships and everything like that.
So these are the helicopters. They're delivering water via helicopter. America's not doing anything.
There's just this narrative.
Now watch, hold on, watch the looks on these people. They have no idea. They have no idea what's going on. And they realize,
they're bringing water.
Yes.
Wow.
So for those of you who are listening to this show on a replay,
there's the ship. There's the ship.
The USNS Comfort ship.
Yeah, look at that thing.
The gargantuan of a ship. And so they're showing all the supplies being delivered. They're talking about the coordination, the transportation command coordinating flights, delivery of food, water, communications, and security.
I'm still blown away that ship has not been used in 20 years.
It's been a while. If you look it up on the Wikipedia, they say the last time it was used.
That is so weird.
I think maybe not 20, maybe 10 or 15.
For us, it's both professional and personal. These are Americans that need support. The guidance from Secretary Mattis has been clear. What they need, they get. Just make it happen. And so what we're doing right now is just making sure that every place that we can uniquely contribute to the disaster in Puerto Rico, we're poised to do that. And we're anticipating what they might need next week, even if they haven't thought about it yet. And our thoughts and prayers are with the people in Puerto Rico.
Like that, and you see cop cars or federal cars, people are hesitant to come out. And initially when we did the run yesterday, you could see the hesitation as they started seeing us taking the cases of water and the cases of food directly to the homes, hugging and saying hi to everybody in the community. They started opening up, and people actually started coming with us and assisting us to give food. So it definitely went from a kind of a hesitation to open arms and helping us out. So it was a tremendous opportunity to interact with the community.
You're not going to find that anywhere but here on Smith Radio, or if you follow Trump on Twitter.
Right. Oh my gosh. So really what it boils down to is it's a battle of narratives, and it's a shame that the the current administration, or conservatives in general, or Republicans, whatever you want to call them, have to incorporate that in everything that they do. Because if they don't, they're going to get bulldozed by the progressives who are going to put out the fake propaganda. They did it in Katrina, and the response was, well, I'm above that. It's beneath the dignity of the office to respond to criticism of the president. Just let them do their thing, and people will see the truth. Well, guess what? They didn't. And they started to believe the fake news, and eventually it was fact. You say a lie enough times and it becomes the truth.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
And they did that to and Trump's like, hey, I'm not going out like that.
Yeah, and I first met a woman, I won't say her name, in L.A. The first date I went on with her, the comment, just something out of the blue, I guess might have been on the radio or whatever. She said, George Bush is dumb.
Oh, no.
I said, oh, really? Why do you say that? And then we just had a conversation about these things. She was saying things about Bush, which there's issues. I'm not backing Bush, but I'm just saying she's saying what she was told, what they are all told from CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, the news, the narrative. You've got, what was it? I think CNN was saying that Pitbull, he's a rapper or an artist, a singer or something. So CNN reports that Pitbull is using his private jet to airlift, I don't know if this is true, but to get people with illnesses out of Puerto Rico and to get them help. I don't know how true that is, but why in the Sam hell is CNN reporting that Pitbull is doing this and not the Air Force, the Army, the Marine Corps, FEMA, Trump?
That's a good point.
Organizing all this.
That's a good point.
Damn it, man.
Like, who is our resident expert? Who is the person that would be able to tell us what's really going on in Puerto Rico? Do we know any Puerto Ricans? We have Pitbull's number on the Rolodex.
I got him on the. He's number 3 on my speed dial.
Right. So we could go ahead and get on the old horn and call up Pitbull and see if he can tell us what's really going on. Meanwhile, we just saw a lot of great information in video format just a second ago. Brian played for you. That's what's really going on.
So here are the raw numbers. Here are the numbers, and here's what's really on the ground and who's really involved in Puerto Rico right now. U.S. Transportation Command is coordinating flights to deliver food, water, and communications and security. 3,000 National Guard members from Puerto Rico National Guard and the Illinois Air Guard, they all arrived September 23rd.
Wow.
That was Monday.
Wow.
The boots were on the ground Monday. The airmen from the 821st and the 921st Contingency Response Squadrons are there. Kelly Field in San Antonio, Texas, arrived September 24th, which was Tuesday. Members of the 14th Air Squadron delivered more than 129,000 pounds of food and water.
Wow.
To St. Croix, the Virginia Islands, in support of the relief efforts of Hurricane Maria. The 165th Air Wing has been reported. Some of the media are slipping the lip. They're getting out there. They're saying the 165th Air Wing has been absolutely invaluable to the media outlets because the media are being flown in and out on military flights.
Well, I got a call to action for all you all listening to us right now. Every single time you hear or especially see on Twitter somebody pointing out that Trump is being negligent or he's not doing a good enough job with Puerto Rico, you respond to them, how dare you? How dare you disparage the hard work of these National Guardsmen?
Yes. Your military, your sons and daughters or your cousins and uncles and nephews, your Americans, your fellow American citizens are on the ground in Puerto Rico right now.
They are spitting on these people by making it sound like nothing's getting done, or that it's not getting done fast enough, or it's not getting done enough, or that it's being completely ignored.
Right. So some of the totals as of Friday, I believe, somewhere around Friday, 238,000 pounds of cargo, 247 passengers, including national and local media, flew on the 165th Air Wing. More than 750 Air National Guardsmen are deployed to Joint Operations Area out of Florida to the U.S. Virginia Islands and Puerto Rico. Out of Dover Airmen delivered 45,000 pounds of equipment. 9 FEMA personnel to hurricane-ravaged St. Thomas. U.S. Air Force Airmen were loading, there are pictures of them loading a C-17 with food out of Lackland. That's out of Texas. That's where we have basic training for Air Force out of Lackland Air Force Base in support of Hurricane Maria. There's also pictures of a C-5M Super Galaxy assigned to the 433rd Airlift Wing that's also going to be deployed. These are the largest aircraft in the world that are flying to Puerto Rico with all kinds of equipment, ground equipment. They're going to need bulldozers. They're going to need all kinds of earth movers. They're going to need whatever, water tanks, all these things they're going to need, and it's all being flown in by the Air Force. I'm telling you, folks, this is probably, now that I'm thinking about it, this is probably going to go down as one of the greatest
the biggest.
One of the biggest relief efforts America has set forth. I don't know when there was such a relief effort of this nature.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And it's being done competently. And I'll tell you what, if you guys listened to the morning shows this morning, it was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting listening to them talk about how Trump doesn't care, and he doesn't care because these people are not white. And it was just disgusting to hear this. It was so...
We played it earlier by fake Taper, Jack Taper.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that all morning, and it just wanted me... It made me want to just gouge my eyeballs out, because it was so disingenuous. I mean, I can't even describe how upset I was hearing them lie about what's going on in Puerto Rico, what's not going on in Puerto Rico, because it's just totally false. But like I said, it's not going to stick. People are not buying the lies anymore. They're not falling for it. And we need to make sure that they don't get away with it. We need to call them out every time you hear it. Call them out every time.
So, folks, you're hearing real news here on Smith Radio. We gather the real factual information. We put it out there. We're not drinking Trump Kool-Aid, because he doesn't make it. If he did, I might buy some. But it's not Kool-Aid. It's not sycophants. We're not in the tank for Trump. It's not about that. It's about the movement that has surpassed Trump. It's about the American way of life, preserving our freedoms, preserving our way of life that we know as Americans. We want our country back. Trump just happens to be the man to disrupt and upset the apple cart so that we can start to go that way. If you like what you hear, folks, if you're on Periscope right now, you can see the videos that we play and some of the banners. Jump over. I just put up the Patreon banner. Jump over to patreon.com/Smith Radio. Help us help Trump. Help us make America great again by exposing these liars for who they are, exposing the fake news for what it is, and giving it to you unabridged. I mean, we throw our opinions in there and our ideas in there as well, but it's real information that you can take to the bank, and you can tell people when you go back to work tomorrow on Monday, when you go to work tomorrow and there's some knucklehead in the office that's talking junk about Trump, you'll know, you don't even have to confront him. You'll know that it's a lie, and you'll know the facts are already out, and this is where it is. And so those people, it's kind of funny.
What do you mean by those people?
Those people that are infected with liberalism, that have the mental disorder.
Yes.
I was talking to the pastor after church today, and I asked him, I said, hey, man, there's this guy at work that he's just insane, man. He's like, religion's caused all the problems in the world, and it's the Old Testament, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, what do I do about that guy? And he's like, well, the Bible says, don't cast your pearls upon the swine.
You might have to explain that one to me.
Got to walk away from it, man. So if you've got somebody in your life that you know, it could be a family member, it could be, and I'm just giving you just basic, throwing out the advice to help you lower your blood pressure. It could be a boss, could be an employee, it's anybody out there in your life that is sick with liberalism. They literally have the mental disorder liberalism, and they cannot see beyond themselves, and it is all about themselves and the talking points. Walk away, guys. That's not a fight you want. Pick the low-lying fruit. Like I got this millennial I work with. He's 29. He's very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. He's looking for answers, and I give him to him. That's all. Just looking for the low-lying fruit. The other ones that are out there, the Jake Tappers, the Joy Reid.
Those are the ones that sold their soul to the devil, and they're
Joe Scarborough. I mean, just go down the list of them.
They do what they do, not because they think they're right or that they're old dogs that can't be taught new tricks. That's not what it is. They know that what they're doing is evil. It's wrong. It's hurting society. It's hurting humanity. It's leaving the world worse than the way they found it.
Yes.
And they do it because that is what is getting them paid.
Who was the one that let go? His name was Brian? He was a reporter, let go, fake news, and then they brought him back.
I have no. You talking about?
Yeah, I'm just saying, folks. There are such liars out there that claim to be news reporters, and they're not. They're spin masters for the machine that they signed up to be a part of. We don't want to be a part of that. We are completely different in the sense that we do this because we love America and we want to see America be great again.
I consider myself a journalism purist, where it's like, hey, look, I just need to get the truth to you guys. And if I don't know what the truth is, I'll give you what are the possibilities that the truth are, and I'll tell you what some of the stories are that are definitely not true. And then maybe I'll update you later on and tell you new information that I find, but at least you have as much information, truthful, factual information as possible. There may be times where you're going to have to make your own mind up at some point, but if we know what the final word is, we'll tell you. But we're not going to sit there and give you the narrative that we want you to know, not knowing for sure whether it's truly true, or in some cases we know it's false, but we need to get the narrative out there. We need you to know this narrative, and they do it in WWE.
Right.
They want you. This is the storyline. This is how that we're going to present the storyline to you, and you're going to be entertained because of the drama.
Right. Right.
And that's what they just want. How can we maximize your entertainment? How can we get you to come back time and time again? So the narrative is going to be driven by those considerations. And they do the same thing at CNN.
Right.
The same exact thing.
Folks, we started doing this 4 years ago knowing nobody was listening. We literally were documenting what we saw was the demise, the downward spiral of America.
We wanted a record for somebody to find 1,000 years from now. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like some archaeologist is going to be digging up computers, and they're like, oh, found another hard drive. Let's see what's on it.
Oh, this one's a solid state. Maybe we could definitely get some info off this one.
Some two guys talk about Smith Radio or something.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, documenting the coup, the silent coup, and the takeover of America by communism.
Right.
It absolutely turned out in our favor that we had an ability to fight back with Trump to make this happen. So I don't know. I feel like the eagle that's flown out from the ashes. I mean, I literally thought the place was burnt to the ground.
Oh, you know what my dad said right before the election? He said, Carrie, there ain't no saving America. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? Of course we could probably say. I mean, I know it's been hurt. It's been damaged.
Oh, yeah.
He said, Carrie, it's like we've jumped off a cliff that's like 2,000 feet high. We're not dead yet. We're not dead. We're on our way down.
We're in free fall.
But we're not reversing this. We've already flown off the cliff. Now we're just awaiting until we hit
the final impact.
Right. We're just awaiting the impact.
Oh.
And I said, wow, Dad, I never thought it could get any more negative than that.
Dude, that's pretty sad. That's rough.
The thing is I couldn't exactly say at the time that he was wrong.
Right.
I just thought, well, gosh, I hope you're not right, Dad. And I'm sure he hopes he's not right, too.
And folks, you hear us laughing on the show. We have fun with this. You've got to lighten up about politics. You've got to laugh along with it.
Right.
It's not the end all be all. We have the ability to reach you, and then you have that ability to talk to other people and stick with like-minded folks. Truly.
By the way, make sure you're sharing this. Make sure you guys are not keeping us a secret. Make sure you're telling people that follow you and people that are friends of yours that also are looking for real news out there and to be entertained by real news. You know, this is journalism, but you know, we like to try to make it sound like you're hanging out with us.
Right.
You know? And definitely share this, and so that way we can grow and have a larger audience and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you're doing that. We appreciate that.
Yes. So as we set a course for a new path, talking about the mainstream media, the absolute hate. We're going to touch on Trump's tax reform that was big in the news this week. Also,
that was controversial.
Welcome back, Steve Scalise.
Oh yeah.
More hate from the left.
He was the one that was attacked. You know,
the Bernie Sanders supporter. They wanted to kill all Republicans.
Right, and I think that if we end up going to full-blown actual civil war, it's going to be looked back upon. It's going to be a major milestone in the timeline of events that happened during our Civil War too.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. There's going to be Antifa, all the different events, you know, Berkeley and Charlottesville will all be a part of it, and not the Nazi part of it. Those Nazis, guys, you want to talk about real news? I'm telling you, I don't have empirical evidence. I don't want to sit there and make it sound like I have the smoking gun. But I'm telling you, I feel comfortable telling everybody listening right now that the Nazis and the KKK that were at Charlottesville were probably Democrat plants. And we do know that the KKK and the Nazis, or not so much the Nazis, but the KKK was founded by the Democrats.
Dinesh D'Souza's new book, The Big Lie, makes the connection and illustrates and shows how the Nazi regime in Nazi Germany learned from the Democrat KKK party.
Yeah, and they also, according to Dinesh D'Souza, an interview that I listened of his, he said they didn't go as far as the Democrats. They, in fact, that when they heard what the Democrats are doing, they were like, well, we can borrow some of that, but there's no way we can go that far. Dinesh said that. He actually said that, and I was like, oh my God, how bad are the Democrats when the Nazis have to dial it back?
Right. That's awful. That's really, really bad.
And we also know that the Nazi that was dressed up in what looked like a casual SS pseudo uniform, like a neo-Nazi type thing, and he was carrying a flag. A lot of very, very smart new media types that we follow on Twitter pointed out and noticed that the flag still had fresh creases in it, as if he had just unwrapped it from its package.
I feel like a punk that I didn't.
Brian's the type that would notice something like that.
Yes, I'm so. And
you didn't study it close enough.
No, I didn't. But it's those subtle nuances, those little nuances that just kind of strike out at me. I'm like, huh?
Well, so
that don't seem right.
So it caused people to question whether or not he just got back from the store with some sort of a vintage, whatever prop for Nazis, or did he buy it from eBay or wherever you buy? I don't know who sells Nazi flags. So turns out they doxed the guy, and they doxed him back to the FBI headquarters. So we're supposed to believe then that it's because he was an undercover FBI agent that was sent to do that.
Whatever. Dude, it's too much. It's too much. Maybe it's possible.
I mean, they doxed the guy, and that's all they came back with was that he was an FBI employee.
Oh no,
seems a little suspect.
Something right.
But we also know that there is no power in the KKK. Yeah. Why does the KKK not have any power? Because the Democrat Party abandoned them as their militant arm in favor of Antifa.
Right.
Okay, that's why they don't exist anymore. Anything now is just plants, as far as I'm concerned. The Republican Party does not and has never in the history of mankind had any actual connection to the KKK. It was the militant arm of the Democrat Party. When the Democrat Party abandoned it because they couldn't get away with it anymore, the KKK died off. And that's it. So I think that a lot of the people you see that claim to be KKK or march for KKK things are they're actors as far as I'm concerned. So what do they call them? LARPers? Live action role players.
Are you kidding me?
I think they're LARPers. I mean, do you think these people that showed up with a hood on go to actual KKK meetings and all this kind of stuff? Now, we have been told that there's some mountain near Atlanta that supposedly has some sort of a thriving KKK community. I'd like to see actual evidence of it. I mean, there's people that live in the area that assured me that it was real. But, Buffalo Ridge here in Cincinnati used to have Satan worshipers.
Yeah, I never saw them, though.
Nobody ever saw
I
it.
heard it as a kid, and boy, we were scared.
Yeah, we were scared to
just
death.
Didn't go there.
Yeah, but nobody ever really knew for sure. It was a one of those tall tales from back in the day. But anyway,
so there's a movie where one of the great actors played Thaddeus Stevens.
Okay,
1860s, right after the Civil War, the Republicans were trying to get these Democrats to let their slaves go. And in the movie, it's coincidentally towards the end of the movie, at the very, very end, you see all the Republicans vote for their to free the slaves, and all the Democrats, not a single one of them voted for freedom. And one of the politicians, Thaddeus Stevens, in the movie, goes home, and you see him in his house, and the pseudo air quotes maid, the slave maid, the black woman, the maid, was his wife, like his woman.
Oh, they were trying to say that there was a disconnect there.
He was trying to free him because he was.
Oh, he was an abolitionist,
right? Because he wanted.
Oh, okay.
Because he saw a black woman as his. I mean, it's his wife. I mean.
Was it true?
Matter.
Is it true that he's married? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not you couldn't legally marry. I don't think at that time.
Oh, so it had to be like totally under.
Yeah, it was on the down low, and it's just
kind of like J. Edgar Hoover was actually a total homosexual. Seriously,
have you
seen the movie?
No, I didn't.
There's a movie. I think Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. I think he plays J. Edgar Hoover, and he was totally, completely flaming. All the way. Like that was like the theme of the movie. What was it called? I think it was called Hoover or something like. It might have been J. Edgar or something like that. But anyway.
Wow.
So the point is that
Tommy Lee Jones. Thank you, folks.
Oh, okay.
Tommy Lee Jones played Thaddeus Stevens in the movie Lincoln, and it was just a really, really good movie.
I guess really I gotta go see that. I didn't see it.
There is one that's Lincoln and he's a zombie. Don't see that.
That's Quentin Tarantino, isn't it?
So stupid.
You saw it?
So awful.
It's the Lincoln the Vampire Slayer or something
Yes,
like that.
that doesn't make any sense.
You don't. Are you denying the existence of
Yes,
vampires?
Yes, I am.
Are you a vampire denier?
I am a vamp. I'm a vamp hater.
Vamp hater.
Yeah,
You're anti-vampire.
Oh, I'm a vampophobe.
Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
Anywho, so speaking of the hate and the anger, and that's what we're talking about. We're exposing
Oh,
the
Vessie's
left.
mad. Vessie's mad because she said that Abraham the Vampire Slayer was really awesome.
What?
Oh, gotcha.
Well, I guess my problem was the wife turned it on, and I didn't really think it was gonna. Maybe I was looking for something else. I was looking.
I'm a huge Tarantino fan, even though his politics are just terrible. Believe it or not, when I went to go watch Django Unchained,
I couldn't watch that one.
Did you even start?
No.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, and I think I've said this to Brian before, much to his shock, that it's actually kind of a good movie. I wouldn't recommend the kids see it, but it's actually kind of, the thing about Tarantino is he is a master storyteller.
Well, and he's also a raging liberal.
Yeah, he is. That's true. And he's also, he's got that, race is a big part of his storytelling.
And when he throws in Jamie Foxx, who said, "Our Lord and Savior,
oh God,
Barack Obama."
Yeah, how did he think that was going to work? That was not going to work.
Our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Saving us from the plantation, although I'm a multi-millionaire.
Right.
And I don't know anything about slavery.
I hung out with him, sort of. I didn't go up and bother him, but a lot of other people did.
Was he the one on the base?
Yeah, he was at the O Club. We were at the O Club, even though I was enlisted.
The officers club, you are not allowed to go in
Well,
unless
we
you're an
spent
officer.
the whole time in Japan going to the O Club because the whole time I was there, the E Club was under repairs.
Y'all got lucky.
Yes, we got very lucky. But anyway, Jamie Foxx was in there. And this was way back in the day. Back before he really did any movies at all.
Back in the 70s?
No, not that far back. So somebody said, "Hey, man, that's that one guy."
Oh,
and I
you didn't.
And I looked over at him, and of course, I didn't know. I didn't remember what his name was too. In fact, my first thing isn't he one of the Wayans brothers? And they're like, no, he's not one of the Wayans brothers. And I looked at him, and he was like, he's in living color. He's
right.
And I said, oh, he's the guy who plays Mike Tyson.
He did a hell of a job.
He did. He played Mike Tyson on among others. But anyway, so he was there being hired by the USO to entertain the troops.
That's cool. That is pretty cool.
And he's fallen so far from grace.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's kind of like Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman, we played his clip multiple times on here, which I thought was a smart thing. He doesn't want a Black History Month. He said that we should not have a Black History Month, and we could solve racism by stop talking about it. You could call me Morgan Freeman instead of calling me a black man. And I thought that was the most wisest thing I've ever heard. This is great. I think that this is the kind of thing that needs to be taught to everybody. And then when Through the Wormhole debuted, the very first episode, for those of you who were asking about it, it's episode 1, season 1. It was called Is There a Creator? And if you watch the whole thing, you're going to be shocked. By the way, you can't find it anywhere. It's been scrubbed from the universe.
I've looked.
Yeah, episode 1, season 1. The conclusion they come to by the end of the show was that there probably is a creator, which is why you can't find it anywhere. And they had to redo that episode. There's an episode further down the line that replaces that one, where the conclusion is that there is no God.
Yeah, you got to keep that narrative.
So,
hold on to it.
So he's the one that narrated it. He even interjected his own personal experiences in the narration that led to you believing that there is a creator. Fast forward, and now he's talking about how we're declaring war on Russia, and the Russiagate's real, and Trump is a bad person. So he's just a big old sellout. There's a fall from grace. Sure, Jamie Foxx entertained the troops through USO many, many years ago, but he's had a very far fall from grace, just like Morgan Freeman had. And it's a real shame. It's such a shame that they can be bought off so easily. Why not just stick with your guns?
Just be Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Forever.
He almost did live forever. He died at 101, maybe? Like, he was very old. He was either 100 or 101. He lived a long time.
90 is forever, so I guess he lived forever.
Well, once you get deep into your 90s, like Monty Hall, he was 96.
Oh, God bless Monty Hall, died today.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday?
So, yeah, one of those days.
Let's make a
Maybe
deal.
today.
Yeah.
Yesterday or today. Monty Hall was 96. Once you get deep into your 90s, people forget about the fact that you might die. They're just like, well, I guess he's not dying.
Hugh Hefner, 91,
I think.
91.
Yeah. Everybody lives into their 90s now. It's weird. When I was a kid, if you reached 90...
Dude, I talked about that on my scope this week.
Everybody's like, what are you, an old man?
No,
you lived in the 1800s, huh?
No, I was talking about retirement and how it's a communist ideology. Because you got to get people out of the workplace to get new blood in, because your workplace doesn't work in a communist society.
Well, my dad...
So you got to fake it and push people out at 65.
Right. Well, my dad retired at about 60. And he got the pension. It was good, a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Good money. And I was like, wow, Dad, you're going to be swimming in it. And he was like, whoa, I got to make this last 30 years. Right. He's right. That's true. But it might be 40 years now. I mean, my gosh, everybody's living so long.
Yep. You never know.
I mean, make that last 30 years.
I mean, even think about it. My dad, as a young child, got polio.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, people died from polio. That's just what
it was
happened.
A bad diagnosis back then.
Right. Or crippled for life. And his one leg a little smaller than the other, but you would never know that he had polio. And he's 75, going to be 76 this year. My young mother, I won't tell you how old she is, but she's alive and kicking and doing well. And, yeah, people living longer. So let's touch on this NFL real quick, just because I'm still boycotting it. I am not watching it.
Well, let me introduce it by saying, when we did the show last week, it was like, oh, man, NFL is going to be all over the news. Let's make sure we're on the front of it. So
we were.
Yeah, absolutely. So we named the show about the NFL. It was like hashtag take a knee or whatever. That was the name of our show. So obviously we're getting in front of it. But I did not think we were going to even remember it by today. I mean, this thing has gotten legs.
Right. Well, here's the thing. This could have all been stopped. It could have been squashed. It could have been crushed. It could have been all over with. It could have been done last year. This did not need to be this long, this heated, this much energy. And you've got the cameras who are being told not to film NFL fans with big signs that say, take a stand, don't take a knee. Angry fans screaming, booing. They did catch it, and they did air it this week. I believe it was Thursday night, where there was a football game that was going on, and the players took a knee, and they started booing. The crowd started booing, and then got to cut. You got to get away from that. Cut the sound. Do something else. We can't have that. Then they started making fun of the media. Started making fun of the fans who are booing. Can you believe those bastards? Those fans that are booing during the national anthem. How rude!
Oh, that's spin.
Complete spin.
That's shameless. That's so shameless. Like, how disrespectful to boo during the national anthem while these people kneel. It's just,
it's their
spin.
freedom. No. It's not their freedom.
I'll tell you what, the NFL, what a bunch of cowards. I'm talking about the owners. I'm talking about the commissioner. Bunch of cowards. Listen, it's not that complicated. What do you think is going to happen? Take a page from the Trump book. And I'm not talking about, what was the book he wrote? My point, listen.
Monty Hall, Make the Deal.
No. Art of the Deal. No, I'm not talking about Art of the Deal. I'm talking about what he did in the past 2 years that got him elected, that got him through controversies, and gets him to win every single fake scandal. Every scandal that the left has invented to try to derail him, dethrone him, mess him up in some way, shape, or form. He has won every one of those battles. And how did he do it? He did it by taking the bold, common sense stance, the thing, go old school, man. People love it. When you say, oh man, we're going to do it, we're going to reintroduce corporal punishment in elementary schools. I mean, people are like, you know what? That would probably be helpful. That's the reaction. And they needed to take a page out of this book. They needed to say, you know what? I think that our fan base is patriotic. Even Rush Limbaugh acknowledges that they knew, the owners and commissioner knew that their fan base is at odds with their players.
Right, yeah.
And that they're going to have to choose whether to back up the fans or back up the players. And that they backed up the players.
No. Back up the fans or back up the deep state, the Democrats, the liberals, the ones that...
Brian wants to go down a rabbit hole.
I'm just saying, man.
I wasn't prepared to go diving head first down a rabbit hole.
I'm just saying, I can't think for the life of me that they're not tied into something on the left. They've got to be.
I'm going to back Brian up by saying it does. Anytime something doesn't make sense, there's got to be a conspiracy somewhere. If something just doesn't make sense. If you can make sense out of it, a lot of times conspiracy theorists exist because they don't have the life experiences or the education or the knowledge to know why what happened and what is being presented actually does make sense. They're like, this doesn't make any sense. It's got to be a conspiracy. Why are there contrails in the air? That's got to be a conspiracy. So whenever something doesn't make sense, first thing you should do is try to learn why it doesn't make sense. And after you learn everything you need to learn about it, and you realize, wow, this really doesn't make sense.
No.
Then you're probably looking at a bona fide conspiracy. All right. So,
right.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to dive down the. But here's the page they should have taken out of the Trump book. They should have said, you know what? We've survived the replacements. You guys remember 1988? Was it 88 or 80? What was it, 87, 88? When did the replacements happen? Does anybody listening to us right now remember the replacements?
It was awful. They literally almost lost the
There's
NFL.
A movie made about it called The Replacements. And yeah, it was a bunch of people that left the assembly lines to go play in the NFL, right? Because there was a big strike, and you know what they did? They said, you know what, to hell with you guys. We're just going to hold tryouts, and we're going to replace all the NFL players temporarily until the strike is over with a bunch of people that are coming off the streets that want to play football. And that's what happened.
Right.
And if you want to learn more about it, go watch the movie The Replacements. And they survived that. That's fine. And they didn't collapse because of it. They're fine. They needed to grab some courage, go down and grab some courage and say, you know what? I'm not taking this crap from you. And they should have said, all right, here's the deal. We're going to introduce these hefty fines for every time that you don't follow the protocol for pre-game ceremonies.
Well, not only that, but you've got to be even across the board. If uniform is specific, and it has to be, and you can't put a sticker supporting police officers, then you shouldn't be
honoring 9/11.
Then you shouldn't be allowed to wear pig socks with cop hats on them, like Colin Kaepernick did.
Yeah, they didn't even do anything.
Kill cops.
That's
Kill
cowardly.
Cops.
That's so cowardly. very, very cowardly. I think you need to call the bluff, and you need to have the courage to do so. It's really not that complicated. Say these are the hefty fines for not following proper pregame procedures, in which case we believe that you should be standing for the national anthem. And if anybody decides to quit or whatever, or if we have to fire you, then so be it. If we have to fire everybody, we're going to do Replacements Part 2, the sequel.
Kat in Arizona said selective morality.
I guess. And here's the thing. You don't have to say, well, we don't agree with what you're protesting. Hey, there's people out there. There's a guy that I have a lot of respect for. He has great videos on YouTube. It's called High Impact Flicks. And he thinks that there are sufficient problems with the United States of America that maybe you should be supporting these people taking a knee. Even though this guy's a big Trump supporter, he's a big Bill of Rights guy, big Constitution guy. He loves tiny, tiny government. I mean, he's practically an anarchist. And I love all the videos he comes out with. They're great, but he kind of supports the questioning of the. And I don't agree with it, and I can explain all that. But the point is they should have had the courage to support their fans. They're going to be hurt big time here, I think, financially.
Let me just say this. Somebody else on Periscope just messaged out. They didn't even take the field before 2009 for the national anthem. Okay, let me get rid of that, and I want you all to stop saying it because I'm going to kill it right now. That may be fact. But they went ahead and opened up Pandora's box and had the teams stand for the anthem. So if they're now standing for the anthem, you can't undo that. You can't unring the bell.
Well, what if
but
you're
going to take the heat for it?
What if they said we're going to change the actual rules in the book to make it so that the teams don't come out until after the national anthem?
That's pathetic. That's weak. It's weak. What about the other players that want to stand for the national anthem? What about in race car, NASCAR? I mean, everybody stands for the national anthem.
Seems like it's just a part of American culture that when you go to a sporting event, I mean, even down to the little league level, if you go to like a big wrestling tournament, they play the national anthem before the first match. That's a very patriotic sport too. They have they call it post-match procedure. You have to shake, you have to grab hold of and shake the opponent's hand after the match, and you can't slap it, and you can't do it with the left hand. It has to be, and it's very specific, and it's a rule, and you can get in big trouble for not shaking your opponent's hand at the end of the match. So the point is that if this is a part of the rule book, then you have to do it. And apparently, it is a part of the NFL handbook that you go out and you have to perform in a certain way during the national anthem, and you do it. I think that for them not to say, and this is the big point I want to make, and I want you guys to listen very carefully because I want you guys to not have any doubt as to where I stand on this. Their inability or their cowardly decision to not force them to do this tells me that they must condone it. Even if they were right in front of my face and said, "Well, Kerry, I really would rather them stand. So you're wrong. I'm not condoning it. In fact, I really wish they wouldn't do it."
If you stood there and watched somebody get beat up, then you would condone the fight.
Well, what if you don't have the means to stop it? What if you're a frail person? Maybe you have medical condition.
911's joking your town.
Call 911. I didn't call 911 because I just didn't want to get involved.
I didn't call 911 because Flavor Flav told me it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There was a caller on Rush this week that said, "I cannot believe that the commissioner and the owners are allowing the social justice warriors to take over their company." This is a company.
Yes.
Could you imagine? Think about the company you work for right now.
Telling your boss to go to beep.
Or just take it over with something. Maybe it's you decided that we're going to turn this entire company. Let's say you work for I don't want to think of a huge company, but a bigger one. Let's say you work for Kroger's. That's a good one. Brian used to work for Kroger's.
I did as a kid.
They got like their headquarters here in Cincinnati, I think, don't they?
Yeah.
So imagine you work for Kroger's and all the employees got together against the will and wishes of the bosses and the owners of Kroger's to turn it into a swingers club.
Are you out in Milford?
What? I don't know nothing about no Milford swinger clubs. I don't know nothing about that. What, were there swinger clubs in Milford?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how would you know that?
Guy at work told me about it.
Oh, I didn't know that. So Milford has swingers club. Okay, so and imagine if the owners were just like, well, I mean, who am I to stop it? Maybe half of the employees don't want to go along with it, which is the case in the NFL. There's a large portion of NFL players that stand for the national anthem, that are sick to their stomach that this is happening in their league, that their colleagues, their teammates are doing this, and yet they can't stop it. They probably wish that the owners and the commissioner would do something to stop it, and none of this is happening.
Okay, so check this out. There's this social justice warrior. She graduated from college, and we talked about her before, and I saw it once before.
Did we play it before?
We have not played it now. It's the short minute clip, but she explains how she got fired on her first day of work, and how it's just how could they do? It's so pathetic. How could my boss just do this? Who's allowing? Oh, he's a white male boss too. At that, and that. You're not going to believe me until you see it, folks. Honest to goodness. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Is this social justice warrior?
I just graduated from college last week, Harvard actually, and I started my new job on Monday. So obviously on Sunday night, I wanted to go out with my friends and celebrate. It was a late night, so Monday morning, first day, I rolled in around 10:30, set up my desk.
Whoa, hold on. Hold your horses. How could you say I rolled in at 10:30 with a straight face as if we're supposed to accept that?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess keep playing it. That was
my boss. My white male boss had the audacity to come up to me and say, "Where have you been? Where have I been?" Well, I've been celebrating, and I've been partying, and then I've been sleeping, and I've been resting, because you know what? This is a stressful time. And you know what? I feel a little bit pressured and a little bit endangered right now. I do not feel safe, so I'll just leave and come back when you change your tune, Mr. White Male Boss. And you know what he said to me? He said, "You can pack up your stuff and go." And I said, "What did you just say to me? I can pack up my stuff and go? I'm fired just because I was late on my first day to work and because I'm not doing anything? Are you kidding me?" I mean, talk about sexism. This is the white male patriarchy at work right here. Talk about discrimination. So now it's Tuesday. I'm back. I've got my protesting signs in the trunk, and I am going to show them who's boss. And I am going to show them that this millennial generation is not taking that crap from baby boomers and Gen Xers, okay? We're going to do whatever we want to, and if we can't do that, and if we don't feel safe, then we're just going to quit, and that is a real threat.
Well, there's a lot of people on the comments right now saying that it's a parody, it's fake, and all that. It seems fake, but at the time this came out, it was reported as an actual video. It seems that it seems obvious that it's fake.
Fake or not,
me, but
this is what the NFL players are doing. Fake or not.
It's not a parody what the NFL players are doing.
No, this is really happening before our eyes.
The fact that it may be fake makes the NFL situation look that much more ridiculous.
Yes. So this is the second week in a row that there was a football game held in London, England. One reporter snapped a picture, put it up on Twitter. Dolphins took a knee.
The whole team? Or
the whole team took a knee, and then once the national anthem started playing, A few of them stood up, but apparently 3 of them stayed down.
Oh, so they started on the knee.
Right.
And then they stood up when it started playing?
That's what she said on her tweet, and then said 3 dolphins took the knee. Kept the knee, took the knee.
Well,
Emma Saunders at EMMA_Saunders, SAUNDERS. Apparently she's a sports writer.
Okay.
And she was in London, witnessed it.
I have a unique perspective. Do we have time for it, though? Yeah, I think so. I have a unique perspective on this. A lot of people probably will not share this experience. I have a friend who he's a black man, and he spent the entire year last year sitting in the stands for every national anthem. And, of course, that's cringeworthy.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine.
Wow.
Yeah, he's actually a friend. And he had something happen to him that is frustrating to hear. Very frustrating. And I may have actually told this story a long time ago in the early days of Smith Radio. And I'll retell it here because it's absolutely relevant with the NFL. And it makes me think a little bit more critically about what's going on, and what it forces me to empathize with the NFL players who are taking a knee. By that I mean put myself in their shoes. So what happened to this guy, why he kneels for the national anthem, not because he's a black man. That the fact that he's black might have a lot to do with what happened to him, but gosh, it's really sad. And I hope, I feel like I wish there was something I could do to fix it. But this is what happened. He has 5 boys, and one of them now is a senior in high school, and he's got a sophomore. And when the senior and the sophomore were very, very young, and he was very, very young. He's still young now. Like, he's got a senior in high school. Like, he doesn't seem that old to me. So he was very, very young when he had kids. And the one was like 5 and the other was 3. And he had them in the bathtub and was giving them both a bath.
Oh, you've told me about this story,
yeah.
right.
And apparently the 5-year-old started messing around with the handle to turn the water on and off. And it went to scalding, while his little brother, who's only 3, unbeknownst to him, this water's about to turn scalding hot. And he had like stepped away or looked away or turned his back or something, didn't realize what was happening. But if you know anything about water burns, this stuff happens fast and the damage is fast. My little brother, had a whole coffee pot spill on him, and my mom grabbed him, and he's blood-curdling screaming, sprinted him into the shower, bath, whatever, turned it on and started dumping water on him as fast as she could. And I sat there and witnessed the skin peeling off of him. So the damage happens really fast. So this happened to the young kid. He takes them to the hospital because he's home alone. His wife's out working. So he takes both kids to the hospital, and they're asking him what happened, and they're treating him for these burns. And this doctor calls the cops, and he claims that, look, it's procedure. It's out of my control. I don't have a say in it. When I see this kind of injury, I'm required to call the cops. And so then the cops asked the doctor what he thought. And the doctor told the cops, well, this burn is consistent with what parents do for child abuse. So for as a punishment, or maybe they're just mad at the kid, or maybe they just like to hurt their kids. This burn is consistent with that. Well, I know this guy. He's a friend of mine. That this would have been an accident is 100,000 times more plausible than him abusing his kids. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
He's got 5 boys now.
Right.
And none of them are abused.
Maybe he learned his lesson, Karen.
So this went on for years and years, and it got to the point where his attorney basically told him, now look, it is what it is. It's it's the bureaucracy, it's the laws and the rules, and you're pretty much screwed. The doctor's saying that these are consistent with child abuse. Your best bet is to go ahead and plead guilty to avoid 3 years in prison. So he ended up taking the advice of his attorney.
He took the knee.
He took the knee, pled guilty, got the felony for life.
No gun, probably can't vote.
He can't vote, no gun, can't get a job
Apply for a job.
Oh, yeah, he can't get a job doing nothing. Doing nothing. Now he's trying to raise 5 kids. His wife is working nonstop all the time. She's always gone to work, working probably 60 hours a week to support all these kids. Thankfully, he ended up learning how to start his business on his own. So that way he doesn't necessarily have to divulge to his customers that he's a felon. But the fact that he's a felon for something that basically he was forced to accept on a charge that he claims he's innocent. Could he be lying to me? Sure. But I'm telling you guys, I know this guy. I've known this guy for years and years. He actually was introduced to me by my dad, because my dad also coached his kids in soccer.
Right.
And I'm telling you, this guy wouldn't hurt a fly. And he tried to do the Innocence Project. Did you hear about the Innocence Project? Turns out the guy that founded the Innocence Project was either the lawyer who told him to take the knee, or it was the prosecutor. It was one of the two. And he was just like, oh my gosh, there's no justice in this world. There's no justice in the world. So he knew he couldn't even go through the Innocence Project. So he couldn't even go through the Innocence Project. So he's so disenfranchised with America. Now here's what I would say to him, and if I get a chance to talk to him this year, which I will, I might have a sit down with him and say, listen, America didn't do this to you.
No.
There are some bad actors here that do not represent America. If Kaepernick has an argument, which I don't think he does, but let's say he does, hands up, don't shoot was a lie. So if he's basing it on hands up, don't shoot, he doesn't have an argument.
No.
But let's just say he does. Let's say that there is a systemic problem where the actual procedures that cops have to follow end up murdering innocent black people.
Yeah, so the cop procedures say, if you see a black man, pull your gun out and shoot him.
Yeah, you can shoot him because he's black, and that's
right.
procedure,
right.
whatever. If that were the case, that's not what this country was founded on. Even High Impact's Flick would 100% agree with me. Correct. This guy's the most patriotic, constitutional, Bill of Rights advocate, all of that. And he would say, oh, hell no. And he agrees that there's grievances that people have that they should take up with, and they should use the national anthem and taking a knee for it in order to raise awareness of it. I disagree because I think you're changing this. It's bad. It's bad messaging. It's bad.
Yes,
messaging. Really bad.
If that's what you're trying to do. However, my notion is, my rabbit hole that I've slipped down into, is that it's good messaging on the part of the people that want to destroy America.
Yeah, they're definitely using this. They're trying to use this and say, you see, folks, we need to tear it down. Look, I'm telling you, it's important to know that the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, these are miracles of humanity that started back with the Enlightenment period in the 1600s and could only happen when so many stars were aligned. So many stars had to be aligned in order for a country to be founded on the Enlightenment principles. And there's only one country that really, truly embraced those philosophies.
In all of human history.
Yeah, and Mark Levin says something, and he's repeated this multiple times, and I like to give him credit for it because I love it. He says, look, America wasn't founded on slavery. We inherited it, and the documents and the founders who wrote those documents set the stage for the eventual freedom of the slaves.
To get rid of it.
It's possible that had the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Revolution not happened, it's possible that slavery, if not prolonged very, very long, may even be in effect today in America.
Sure.
Especially if America had become the superpower that it is today before it abolished slavery.
Boom.
Because then who the hell would stop us? The deep state would be loving all over it.
Right.
And an abolitionist wouldn't have the power to stand up. We can't even stand up to these deep state people right now that are usurping the will of the people by not allowing us to have a President Trump. They're not allowing it. They're not allowing him to have his cabinet picks. They're not allowing him to govern. They're doing everything that they can to stop what it is that he's trying to do, which is implement the Trump movement policies. We can't even stand up to that. We can't stop that. You think if slavery was an institution of the deep state today that we'd ever be able to stop it? And why is that? Because we've gotten away from the founding principles of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. We allowed progressives to just convince us to ignore it, that it's an antiquated document, and that the words, sure, speech shall not be infringed. Sure, it says that. But, if somebody says something that makes you feel sad, you should be allowed to punch them in the face for it. Freely.
Right.
Be okay with that. I'm telling you, people, the point is that our founding, our country, our documents, our founders, the people who love America, the flag that it represents, the people that fought to preserve it, you're throwing them all under the bus when you take a knee.
Right. Well, not only that, but I played it last week at the end of the show. For those of you on a Periscope, at Brian P. Smith on Periscope, I played it at the end. It's the best story ever told, put on YouTube with about Scott Key, Francis Scott Key, who wrote the national anthem, who wrote that, and why he wrote it, how it came about, the history of it. It's just riveting. What the our original, I mean, he wasn't a founding father, but the original Americans, the first generation Americans, the second generation Americans that had to go back in 1812 and refight Great Britain.
Oh my gosh!
When Great Britain came over and burnt the White House down, we had to go refight them again. I mean, you thought that 1776, the war's over. Yeah, no, that was brutal. Just because we declared independence, that doesn't mean you get it unless you fight for it. And how long you got to fight for that thing? It was a long, long time. A lot of blood spilled, and these bastards go over to Britain, the country we fought to break away from. These people in Britain are still technically, maybe not slaves, but they're subjects. They're not citizens.
We inherited slavery from Great Britain.
Yes.
And they're over there standing tall for whatever their national anthem's called.
Hail to the Queen.
Hail to the Queen, or God Save the Queen.
God Save the Queen. They stand for that, who gave us slavery. And the people in England are subject to the royal crown. If this is not the conspiracy theory I'm talking about, folks, I don't know what is. I'm just saying, they're trying to make people feel like it even goes as far as these children's movies. They make all these Disney movies, all the kings and queens are so benevolent, and they're so beautiful, and they're so loving. Everybody wants to be a princess. Everybody wants to be a king or a queen. I'm like, no.
I got you hip to that, didn't I?
Yeah, we talked about, Carrie and I talked about all kinds of crazy stuff.
No, we had early on in Smith Radio.
Our daughters.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney is propaganda. The stories of Disney propagandize our kids, and they grow up with that monarchies are so enchanting and cool and benign and fun and peaceful, and they seem like they're so great. because all of them are princess movies, prince movies. It all involves monarchies, and they usually involve monarchs, like a princess or something like that. And they make it seem like these people are just the greatest, most moral, nice, great leaders. And that, I mean, when you grow up with that, it kind of makes you think. And not only that, but it kind of, since there's no Disney movie about a self-governed, with three different branches of government with a Bill of Rights.
They did come close with one, though.
Which was what?
It's a young black girl who kissed a frog, and her dad died early.
It was in New Orleans?
Yes.
Okay.
And she wanted to start a restaurant like her father.
Free market capitalism.
Yes.
But wait a minute.
My daughters called me out on that. She said, no, Daddy, look. They got one that's pro-capitalist, hard work.
They didn't daughters?
They didn't say capitalist.
Oh, I was going to say,
but they're like, look, Daddy, she's trying to start her own business.
Okay.
I said, well, let me check this out.
Okay, all right. Was it problematic?
You're good. I was good with it. I'm good with it.
Okay, so there was one.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't write it, you know. If I did, it'd probably be boring for the children. But it was eye candy and entertaining and stuff. But it wasn't monarchy.
I guess I'll have to watch it.
There's only one. So Brian Stelter, Brian on CNN, Stelter. Yeah, Mark Dice calls him Little Brian.
Okay.
I don't. He's kind of a baby Brian. He did a thing on a little montage, if you will, on Trump and the NFL take a knee. And this is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. Just the twisting of logic, the liberalism that is the mental disorder.
This guy?
Yeah.
Okay,
he's fat now.
Oh,
he's a lot bigger now.
Oh, it says Stelter in 2011. If you go to Wikipedia, just
okay,
FYI.
so 6 years ago, he's been doing pretty good. Anyway, so this is his thing on Trump. So we're going to give you the real numbers. This is Stelter saying that the NFL is not taking a hit and they're all good. And really, this is probably more Trump's problem than the NFL. So. See what
President Trump blitzing the National Football League. But is he right on the facts?
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired! And you know, when the NFL ratings are down massively, the NFL ratings are down massively.
Actually, the ratings have only slipped a bit. Some weeks, some networks are up, others are down, but the ratings are not way down as Trump claimed. Right now, the biggest shows on TV are all NFL games. So yes, there will be ebbs and flows in the ratings, and the NFL is concerned about the effects of Trump's boycott talk.
I can tell.
But it seems like nothing can truly stop the...
He said concerned with Trump's boycotting. They're not boycotting Trump, folks.
NFL ratings juggernaut. Other serious controversies in recent history have done little to turn viewers away. Remember when incidents of domestic violence alleged against players like Ray Rice, Greg Hardy, and Josh Brown?
Alleged. One was on film, but it's alleged.
Filled newspaper headlines and cable news rundowns. All three men are now out of work. But consider this. A year after the shocking video of Ray Rice dragging his girlfriend off an elevator, the NFL posted some of its strongest ratings ever in 2015.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Wait a minute. So he's trying to say that because one player abused his girlfriend
in Vegas in an elevator,
beat her up.
She hit the railing, Carrie.
She went unconscious, allegedly. And he allegedly drug her out of the elevator. He helped her out.
Yeah, he's just trying to help her.
Nobody talked about boycotting the NFL because this guy beat up his...
Well, he's a representative of the NFL, isn't he? I mean, we should all boycott the NFL because, Michael Vick kills dogs.
This is so apples and oranges, it's unbelievable. Look, it seems like a universal thing, minus a couple of owners that said, guys are going to stand for the anthem or whatnot. But it seems like an overwhelming majority of the NFL is either taking a knee or supporting those that are, and allowing these players to break rules that they normally would get fined for, which we pointed out last week's show. And so, to me, they're pretty much condoning this behavior.
That's what they want you to believe, that the majority of players are taking a knee. They want you to believe that.
I mean, did Ray Rice not get punished by the NFL?
I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, he said he was out of work, but I mean, at the time, wasn't there like...
He was in big trouble, man.
Yeah. And we're okay with that. Sure, take a knee. Take the $13,000 fine, or was it $11,000?
Everybody gets
$11,000. Take the $11,000 fine. Take the knee. Whatever. I don't care. But don't sit there and tell me that this boycott is comparable to one guy beating up his wife in an elevator when they're all in on taking a knee. All of them. It's across the board.
He's not done.
And how about accusations of murder against players? O.J. Simpson, Ray Lewis, and Aaron Hernandez have all faced that charge. Only Hernandez was convicted. But again,
3 faced the charge. Only Hernandez really did it.
People kept watching the NFL. Hernandez committed suicide in prison.
This is terrible. This is apples and oranges. He's literally comparing two things. It's a non sequitur. They're not even in the same ballpark. They're not even in the same football field.
And a study of his brain revealed he had severe CTE.
Oh,
the concussion debate is another serious controversy for the NFL. Maybe even its most serious. We know some players have retired early, citing health concerns. They're walking away, but fans are not. Professional football...
Health concerns are walking away, but fans are not.
...is as popular as ever. And don't even get me started on all the drama within the game. Deflategate, Bountygate, the Redskins team name, replacement refs, labor disputes, rule changes, teams relocating.
All of these are completely... Listen, he's taking individual little things, and this is actually an MO of
this is what they do.
Liberals.
Right, this is what they do.
They'll take one little example. It's what they're doing in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, if there's 3 million people, there's 3 million people. If one person is hungry, they are going to find that person and they're going to put a camera in front of them.
Since we've been talking, Washington Post just posted an article, and I got the headline caption feed of it. Washington Post, new article just now posted on Twitter, says no phone, no water, no help. Outlying town in Puerto Rico.
Oh, my gosh. Exactly. So what Brian Stelter's doing here is he's pointing out individual wrongdoings by individuals, and I'll even take it further.
See, all these wrongdoings didn't affect their ratings, just like this won't affect their ratings either. That's his total argument.
And he is he may end up being right, but his argument is totally fallacious.
Right.
He may end up being right. And I'll even take this even further. At first, he was talking about individuals like Ray Rice and just all these people doing, the health concerns, the murder, and all this kind of stuff. He pointed out Deflategate. Well, that was a whole team, including the coach. The whole team is involved, and they went to the Super Bowl. And it was like, so Kerry, you just said it's a systemic problem involving multiple people. Well, so is Deflategate. It was one team, and the other teams were outraged.
Well, Inside Ball Game says most teams do it. They were just caught.
Yeah, well, they got caught doing a lot.
And the problem is the NFL allows each team to hold their own balls.
Whoa.
Don't let them hold their own.
Show.
Right. We're talking about family-friendly NFL.
Okay.
It's
not family-friendly anymore. I can't let my children watch that.
No.
Kneeling for the national anthem.
Oh, no, definitely not.
This is military veteran talk radio.
That's right.
Man.
Speaking about that, Alejandro Nuevo, shame on you, bro. I know they came to you and said it's going to cost you millions if you don't come out and apologize.
He did not word that very well. He should have said, look,
I wasn't being a team player and I should have stayed in the locker room.
And just left it at that.
Yep. Ah, so sad.
Yeah, he pulled the obsession that fans have with the league. That's why the NFL is still the biggest show in town when it comes to ratings. But don't take it from me. Here's one of America's best-known sportscasters, Bob Costas.
We live in a niche world. But the one thing that draws not only a large audience, but a varied audience, outside of the Academy Awards and the Emmys, I guess, the one...
Wow.
So outside of the Emmys, the Academy Awards, and NFL, there is no varied audience. There's no wide range audience at all in the world.
I think they're sociopaths. They like make up words coming out of their mouth.
The thing that draws that kind of across-the-board interest is big sports events.
It doesn't draw any kind of across-the-board interest. Only the Emmys, Hollywood, the Emmys, the Academy Awards, and NFL. This guy's nuts.
And very often that's where these issues play themselves out.
So President Trump can mock the NFL for a modest ratings decline. But here's the irony. By calling attention to the controversy over the national anthem, the president could actually cause even more people to tune in.
Well, yeah, they're going to want to see whether or not. Look, my dad said he made it through the first quarter. Rush Limbaugh said he made it to halftime. There were several callers that called in and said same thing. So some of them are tuning in. They're trying to not let it get them down. And then it gets to the point where they just can't take it anymore and said, this isn't fun anymore.
So this is what people are doing across American citizens doing across the country. Nobody's talking about this. They're burning their NFL memorabilia all across the country, and nobody's really talking about it. The only way you can find this stuff is on social media, on Twitter and Facebook. And this one got me. This guy worked for the NFL as a subcontractor, apparently at NFL 30 during the Super Bowl. And there's only 30 of these flags.
Oh, man.
There's 2 Super Bowl 25 win socks I've had since 1991 when I worked the Super Bowl. Ran a high-low for him, putting up speakers for Mark at Apex Productions. I've had them since the Super Bowl. NFL, you shit on us veterans. I don't need these anymore. There's 25 pairs of these in the country. There'll be 24 in a minute.
Wow.
That's what's going on. I love it. I don't even have anything NFL to burn.
Very, very rare artifact there, and he just burnt it.
You know, if I had something, I'd burn it. I don't have nothing. And then this is all based on, this comes from Black Lives Matters, the numbers, the statistics, Black Lives Matters of the amount of, because they're protesting, at least according to Colin Kaepernick and some of the other black football players, they're protesting the injustice in America, the injustice of blacks being killed more than whites, blacks being killed over white, or cops killing blacks, so on and so forth. And we know for a fact this isn't true, and I can't believe we're running out of time. But the Brian Stelter thing, this is the real numbers. Remington Research Group poll, 64% players should stand. 51% said they watched less football. Lou Dobbs quoted AP story. The ratings from 2016 till now, they're down 11% for the NFL. AP Nielsen said that the games averaged 17.6 million viewers for the first 3 weeks of the season. They've dipped to 15.6. So they lost 2 million viewers since this has gone on. However, the Nielsen figures don't include many of the Sunday afternoon games that are shown on regional audiences, but not a national one. So the numbers may even be bigger than 2 million.
Well, it'll make me feel good to know that American consumers, fans of football, are not going to put up with this. And they're not going to allow the condoning of the disrespect of our flag, our country, our veterans. And I know that they're trying to say that that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. But this is the messaging. You pick the thing that represents the wrong thing that you're trying to protest. If you're not protesting America as it's founded, you're not protesting the veterans, then pick some other method of protest. And by the way, if you don't want fans of football to stop watching, stop protesting during the damn game.
Right.
Even if you're not disrespecting the national anthem, people want you to do it on your own time, not during the game. And I can't believe that the NFL is allowing this. I can't believe they're so stupid to think that this is going to be, hey, Brian, no, there is no bad publicity. There is no bad publicity.
I've said that before. I've said that in Hollywood, they talk about it all the time. The only bad publicity is none. If you are not making that, look at the mayor out there, Cruz out there in Puerto Rico. Her only bad publicity was she never had any. Now she's got all the publicity in the world.
She's got name recognition.
Right. And the liberals are going to say, hey, look, we could prop this one up and an election come around sometimes. You got name recognition.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, hey, check this out, folks. Dinesh D'Souza's new book, The Big Lie. I mentioned it earlier before. You've got to take a look at it. You got to check it out. And this was a soundbite I've been meaning to play for a while. Trump was in a they did, you know how they do the Thug Lifes?
Oh, yeah.
Trump?
Yeah.
Well, Trump was at a rally and he was talking and he dropped the F-bomb.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of bleeped it out, though, so you don't hear it. But the bleep part is the F-bomb Trump dropped.
Well, I don't believe you unless you don't.
They want to go in and raise the price of oil because we have nobody in Washington that sits back and said, you're not going to raise that price.
He was talking about the price of oil, and he's complaining about Saudi Arabia.
You didn't beef it. It sounds like you cut it. Whatever.
But I had to get it out of there. But yeah. He said they need somebody to get up in there and say, you're not going to raise the price of oil.
It kind of reminds me of Vicente Fox when he said, I'm not going to pay for the blanket wall. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was quite funny. So earlier this week in Indianapolis, when Trump gave his speech about taxes, we're going to have to touch on tax some other time because we're out of time. But when he talked about taxes,
is complicated because it seems like Rush Limbaugh's losing his mind. Rush Limbaugh's like, this is not trickle down. This is not pro-growth. He said that this week. A lot of people were shocked when I tweeted that, but it's true that he did say that. I don't know if what he's saying is correct. I suspect that he's missing something. I think Rush Limbaugh is missing some key facts on this. Of all people, Trump is not going to botch up taxes.
Right. No, it's not going to happen, folks. I'm trusting Trump. But anyways, when Trump left Indianapolis, he was on the tarmac in Air Force One, and he caught wind that a cop in the motorcade had laid his motorcycle down on the ground, had a wreck.
Yeah.
And Trump said, do not take off. I want to make sure we contact him. And Trump called the hospital, talked to the cop.
Yeah, and it was recorded. Somebody played the recording, I think on Sean Hannity's show. Sean Hannity played the recording of him getting the phone call. Somebody actually, I guess, videotaped him getting the phone call.
That is totally cool.
Yeah.
You talk about somebody with a good heart. And then the other news story that you're not going to hear anything about, the Long-Term Strategy Group. You heard about them? They have no virtual website, pretty much non-existent website, and has no security clearances whatsoever to this date. They've received $11.2 million in federal contracts, according to usaspending.gov. Well, who is Long-Term Strategy Group? Who runs it? Chelsea Clinton's friends.
Really?
They're people that are connected to Chelsea Clinton.
Oh, boy.
So it never stops, folks. Can you imagine if we had that woman? If we had that woman elected, it would have been just disastrous.
It would have
my goodness.
It would have been at least as bad as Obama. I like that we're less than a year into this presidency, and I can't even remember how bad it was under Obama.
No, I'm not even thinking
about it.
I start to go back through show notes, and when I'm doing show prep, and I see video clips and audio clips of things, I'm like, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
It was that bad.
It was bad.
So, hey, stay tuned to after the show. If you're on Periscope, I am going to play that clip Francis Scott Key and the detailing of the national anthem, where it came from, how it was written, what it was about, this war that we were in for our fight for our life and our freedom. It is an emotional and moving tale that I just absolutely love. I love to play it over and over again. And so right after you hear With Unfathomable Power, at the end of this sound clip, it's about 42 seconds long, I will play Francis Scott Key. And we'll see you next week. Fast 3 hours you'll spend anywhere right here, folks. Peace.
Somebody said Michelle's more of a man than you.
Than me? Yeah. Probably. From those pictures I've seen on the internet.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.